Hare Kṛṣṇa. Welcome to this episode of Ask Me Anything Mondays, AMAM. This is episode 25, and we'll say our Mangalacharan prayers and invoke the blessings of Śrīla Prabhupāda and the entire parampara, and then we shall begin trying to answer your questions from Srila Prabhupada's books. Om Namo Bhagavate Vāsudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vāsudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vāsudevaya. Om Ajnānatimirandhasya Jnānāñjana-śalākaya Chakshurunmīlitam yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam yena bhutale Swayam Rupah Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Kṛṣṇa Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Kṛṣṇa Karuna Sindho Dīnabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Viṣṇupadaya Kṛṣṇa Preshthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Kṛṣna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Kṛṣna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So welcome to this episode of AMAM, Ask Me Anything Mondays. So in these sessions we try to answer your questions from Srila Prabhupada's books. We don't claim to be a know-all of everything, but if there is anything that I can't answer, that's a good point. Good thing for me to learn. So we will all learn together here in these sessions from Srila Prabhupada's books. Alright, so first question, I will quickly pull it up. 1 second. So Shubham Shukla, he actually asked this in the previous live stream, which I could not answer at the time. So his question was, one smells odor without being connected with the odorous article. Śrīmad Bhāgavatam 1.3.36. What is the meaning? I think it's quite self-evident, isn't it? You don't have to touch the object of which you are smelling. If it is somewhere nearby, we can already smell. One 336. He is connected with this material creation very superficially, as one smells odour without being connected with the odorous article, non-godly elements therefore can never approach him despite all endeavours. The prime difference between the Lord and the living entities is that the Lord is the creator and the living entities are the created. Here he is called Amogha Leela, which indicates that there is nothing lamentable in his creation. Those who create disturbance in his creation are themselves disturbed. He is transcendental to all material afflictions because he is full with all six opulences, namely wealth, power, fame, beauty, knowledge and renunciation, and thus he is the master of the senses. He creates these manifested universes in order to reclaim the living beings who are within them, suffering threefold miseries, maintains them, and in due course annihilates them without being the least affected by such actions. He is connected with this material creation very superficially, as one smells odour without being connected with the odorous article. Non-godly elements therefore can never approach him despite all endeavours. So yeah, it's quite evident. So basically, vasana means smell. Vasana means flavor, which is smell, odor. The karma is also called vasana. We carry forward, because of our past association, karanam gunasangosya sadasad yoni janmasu. Purusha prakritisthohe bhungte prakritijan gunan karanam gunasangosya sadasad yoni janmasu. The living entity in material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature. Thus he meets with good and evil among various species. So he, in some lifetimes he will be suffering a lot, some lifetimes he will be enjoying a lot, sometimes it is a mixture of them. So that is because of his previous karmic flavor. How much mode of ignorance, how much mode of passion, how much mode of goodness that he has associated with, accordingly he will be experiencing in this life. If one has been sattvic, mostly in the mode of goodness in the previous life, in this life he will be given much more chance to, his life will be much more purer, and there is a good chance he can come to God consciousness that way. And if the more one is in the mode of ignorance, the more he will be suffering and away from God consciousness. So, and this is explained like urdhvam gacchanti sattvasthaah madhye tishtanti rajasaah jaghanya guna vrittisthaah adho gacchanti tamasaah. Those situated in the mode of goodness gradually go upward to the higher planets. Those in the mode of passion live on the earthly planets. And those in the abominable mode of ignorance go down to the hellish worlds. So, accordingly, our birth, our movements of the living entity, Brahmayan sarva bhutani yantra rudhani mayaya, Ishvara sarva bhutanam hriddesha arjuna tishtati. So, we are actually moving in this material world. Our movement in this material world is governed by our association. If we are in the mode of goodness, then you see, urdhvam gacchanti sattvastha. Those who are situated in goodness, they go upward. Madhya tishtanti rajasa. Those in the mode of passion, in the middle planetary systems, in the middle mediocre. Then jaganya guna vrittistha. Jaganya guna vrittistha means very sinful. They go adho gacchanti tamasa. Adha means downward. So in this way, one carries the flavor of his association. And that is even more nicely explained in this 15th chapter, 8th, 9th and 10th verses. Shariram yadavapnoti yachapyutkramati shvaraha grihitvaitani samyati vayur gandhani vashayat. So vayur gandhan ivashayat. The living entity in the material world carries his different conceptions of life from one body to another, as the air carries aromas. Thus he takes one kind of body and again quits it to take another. So, as the air carries aromas, so air is not stinking or air is not fragrant. Air is just air. It is odorless. But when it passes through a flower garden, then it carries the scent of the flower. When it passes through a drain, then it carries the stench of the drain. So, according to its association, when the air associates with that place, it carries that flavor and comes. When it comes to us, then we know that there is this garden or a drain or whatever is there. So we have not contacted the article or the flower garden or the drain, but we can smell it. So we carry the flavor. So we are, of course, we as a person who is smelling we do not carry the flavor. The air carries the flavor. So the air is associating with these flavors. Now, you see next one. Śrottam chakshuspārshanam cha rasanam ghranameva cha adhisthāya manaschāyam viṣaya-anupasevate. The living entity, thus taking another gross body, obtains a certain type of ear, eye, tongue, nose and sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind. He thus enjoys a particular set of sense objects. So, according to the flavor of our association, we get a certain body and a certain set of senses and grouped about the mind, and he enjoys a particular set of sense objects. Like pig, he enjoys being near garbage. So his particular sense objects is garbage. You give halwa, rasgulla, gulab jamun, he is not interested. So because of his association with the mode of ignorance in his previous life. So next one, utkramantam sthitam vapi bhunjanam va gunanvitam vimudhananupashyanti pashyanti jnana chakshushaha. The foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of the modes of nature. But one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all this. So this is the movements of the living entities, and these movements are depending on our flavor that we carry forward. But the Lord Kṛṣṇa, he is different. You see here, chapter 5, text 15. Nādatte kaśyachit pāpam na chaiva sukritam vibhuh ajñānena vritam jnānam tena muhyanti jantavah. Nor does the Supreme Lord assume anyone's sinful or pious activities. Embodied beings, however, are bewildered because of the ignorance which covers their real knowledge. So Kṛṣṇa has no papa or sin or piety, and whatever we do, whatever we perform, he does not take the responsibility of that sin or piety. He does not enjoy the results of our pious activities. He does not suffer the results of our sinful activities. He is always aloof, and that is why in the Ishopanishad it is said, apāpavidham sapariyagatshukramākāyamavranam asnāviram shuddham apāpavidham kavirmaneshi paribhu svayambhur yathā tathyatorthan vyadadhā chāsvatibhyah samābhyah. Apāpavidham, shuddham apāpavidham. Such a person must factually know the greatest of all, the personality of Godhead, who is unembodied, omniscient, beyond reproach, without veins, pure and uncontaminated, the self-sufficient philosopher who has been fulfilling everyone's desire since time immemorial. Prophylactic. Prophylactic means so prophylactic means in medicine, those who are in medicine, they will know. It is preventive, something which prevents a disease, like a vaccine. That's a prophylactic. So prophylactic. So when we are in Kṛṣṇa consciousness, not only can we be rid of all our sinful activities in the past, but it protects us from committing any sins. Durena hi avaram karma buddhi yoga dhananjaya buddhau sharanam anvichha kripana phalahetavah. See, this is prophylactic. How can we keep how can we prevent sinful activity? See, Durena Hyavaram Karma Buddhi Yoga Dhananjaya Buddhau Sharanam Anvichha Kripanaha Palahetavaham. O Dhananjaya, keep all abominable activities far distant by devotional service, and in that consciousness surrender unto the Lord. Those who want to enjoy the fruits of their work are misers. So, it is a prophylactic. So, when we are in Kṛṣṇa consciousness, automatically we are not performing any abominable activities. And it's not just being busy with one thing so that we don't commit the sinful activities. No, it's not just keeping ourselves busy, meaninglessly busy. No. This is, not only are we busy, but also with that our consciousness gets purified, and then we don't have any taste anymore for the sinful activities. Yadavadhi mama chetah Kṛṣṇa pādāravinde Nava nava rasadhaman yudyatam rantumasit tadavadhibatanari sangame smaryamane bhavati mukha vikara sushtu nishthevanam cha. This is Yamunacharya in the Stotra Ratna. He is saying this. Since my mind has been engaged in the service of the lotus feet of the Lord Kṛṣṇa, and I have been enjoying an ever new transcendental humor, whenever I think of sex life with a woman, my face at once turns from it and I spit at the thought. So this is called prevention. For example, marriage is a kind of prevention, hopeful prevention. So because when one gets married, okay, his sexual desire is satisfied with the wife, and he takes on responsibility of a family, and it prevents him from going to other women. But is that good enough? No, he can still go if he wants. So it's not that he's just controlled in a way, or facilities there so that he will not go in a wrong way. No, he can still go. But if one becomes Kṛṣṇa conscious, then he completely gives up. So this is the effect of just being in devotional service to Kṛṣṇa. What to speak of Kṛṣṇa himself, who is completely free from all sin. So, although he creates this entire material world, he has no personal touch with it. He does not become entangled or implicated in this activities of this material world, and therefore he is always aloof. But he knows everything, just like you can know about an object that is far away just by the smell, like what quality it is, what kind of a thing that is. Of course, we can know only some things by the flavor, but Kṛṣṇa can know everything. So like that. So Kṛṣṇa is aware of everything here, but he is not in touch with anything. Andantarastha paramanu chayantarastham govindamadi puruṣaṁ. So he is in every single atom, but still he is not in touch with them. This is the mystic opulence of Kṛṣṇa. That's why Pashyame Yogamaishwaram, Kṛṣṇa says in the Bhagavad Gita. I am there and I am not there. Everything is in me, but I am not in everything. Behold my mystic opulence. You see? Maya tatamidam sarvam jagad avyakta murtina matsthani sarva bhutani nachaham teshvavasthitah. By me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. The next one. Nacha matsthani bhutani pashyame yogamaishwaram bhutabhrinnacha bhutastho mamatma bhuta bhavanah. And yet, everything that is created does not rest in me. You see here, he says, by me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. That means the entire universe is pervaded by me. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. But here he is saying, but yet everything does not rest in me. Behold my mystic opulence. Although I am the maintainer of all living entities, and although I am everywhere, I am not a part of this cosmic manifestation, for myself is the very source of creation. So in this way, Kṛṣṇa is connected and at the same time not connected. And he is directly and indirectly in knowledge of everything. Abhijña Swarat. He is Abhijña. Abhijña means he is aware of everything. and yet he is not in touch with this material world. So Krishna's position is like that. And those who surrender to Krishna, they also become like that. They may be wandering in this material world, but they are not affected. Padmapatram ivambhasa. Another example is Padmapatram ivambhasa. Same. 5:10. Brahmanyādhāya karmāni sangam tyaktva karoti yah lipyatena sa papena padmapatram ivambhasa. One who performs his duty without attachment, surrendering the results unto the Supreme Lord, is unaffected by sinful action, as the lotus leaf is untouched by water. See that? Kayena manasa buddhya kevalairindriyairapi yoginah karma kurvante sangam tyaktvatma shuddhaye. The yogi is abandoning attachment, act with body, mind and intelligence and even with the senses only for the purpose of purification. So although they are engaging their senses and everything, but they are not contaminated by it. And this happens even for a person who engages in the service of Kṛṣṇa, what to speak of Kṛṣṇa himself. Another couple of verses. Śrīmad Bhāgavatam 1:11-38. एतदीशनम ईशस्य प्रकृतिस्थोपि तद्गुणैः न युज्यते सदात्मस्थैर् यथा बुद्धिस्तदाश्रया. This is the divinity of the personality of Godhead. He is not affected by the qualities of the material nature, even though he is in contact with them. Similarly, the devotees who have taken shelter of the Lord do not become influenced by the material qualities. (327-26) एवं विदित तत्त्वस्य प्रकृतिर्मयमानसं युञ्जतो नापकुरुत आत्मा रामस्य करहचित्. The influence of material nature cannot harm an enlightened soul, even though he engages in material activities, because he knows the truth of the Absolute and his mind is fixed on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Again, same point. He is also not. He is unaffected, untouched. And the other verse is, of course, 1088.5. हरेर्हि निर्गुणः साक्षात् पुरुषः प्रकृतेः परः स सर्वदृग् उपद्रष्टा तं भजन् निर्गुणो भवेत्. Lord Hari, however, has no connection with the material modes. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the all-seeing eternal witness. So he has no connection with the material. And one who worships him becomes similarly free from the material modes. So Kṛṣṇa is free and his devotee also becomes free. So this is the meaning of this thing, that one smells odor without being connected with the odorous article. So a devotee also, Yukta Vairagya principle. What is Yukta Vairagya principle? Anasaktasya vishayan yatharham upayunjatah. निर्बंधे कृष्ण संबंधे युक्तम वैराग्यमुच्यते. प्रापंचिकतया बुद्ध्या हरिसंबंधि वस्तुनः मुमुक्षुभिः परित्यागो वैराग्यम फल्गु कथ्यते. Where is it quoted? Anyway, I'll just go to the purport. I thought there was an actual verse. Maybe there is. But anyway, here it is. Rupa Goswami characterizes Kṛṣṇa consciousness in this way. So I have chanted this now, these two verses. When one is not attached to anything, but at the same time accepts everything in relation to Kṛṣṇa, one is rightly situated above possessiveness. On the other hand, one who rejects everything without knowledge of his relationship to Kṛṣṇa is not as complete in his renunciation. So, if I am touching something, if I am using something, I will get influenced by that. That is called getting in association with that. But if I am using something but I am not influenced by that, but I am using it to broadcast Kṛṣṇa's message, then that is then I am not touched by that. Although I can know all its qualities, but I know how to use it and I am untouched by it. I am not influenced by it. Similarly, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa is like that, and his devotees also, by Yukta Vairagya principle, they also become like that. So this is the meaning of this 1.3.36. This phrase here. All right. So next question. So just give me a second here. Shivani Rampal. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances, all glories to Prabhupada. My question is, what is the meaning of Patita Pavana? Thank you, Hare Krishna. So these kind of questions no need to be asked actually, because these are easily understood in Prabhupada's books. But anyway, so the answer is Patita means fallen. Patita means to fall or fallen. Pavana. Pavana means one who purifies. So one who purifies such person and elevates him or saves that person. So Patita Pavan means one who purifies the fallen souls. So Kṛṣṇa is Patita Pavan. He is deliverer of the fallen souls. He delivers the fallen souls, especially Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Jagannath, and Kṛṣṇa also. And devotees also. Patita Pavan. So that is the meaning of Patita Pavan. Alright, so next question. Okay, so this question is by TJ21. Hare Krishna Prabhu, in the Sajjan Toshani, it has been written that a good preceptor is a denizen of the spiritual world. Why then did Srila Prabhupada try and make Westerners into gurus? Okay, firstly, Srila Prabhupada never made anybody gurus, whether Westerners or Easterners or Southerners or Northerners, or Northeasterners or Northwesterners, Southwesterners or Southeasterners. So he did not make anyone gurus. Siksha Guru, yes, everyone is a Siksha Guru. Every devotee who strictly follows the principles of the Diksha Guru is a Siksha Guru. So in that way, gurus. But Diksha Gurus, he did not make anyone. Because Diksha means Divya Gyan and Kshapayati. Divyam Gyanam yato dadyat Kuryat Papasa Sankshayam. Tatha diksheti sa prokta deshikais tattva kovidai. So this is the definition by Jiva Goswami in the Bhakti Sandarbha about Diksha. And so it means Divyam Jnanam yato dadyat kuryat papasa sankshayam. Sankshayam means completely he purifies the disciple of all karmic reactions and injects in him this transcendental knowledge. So that is Diksha. So Srila Prabhupada is actually injecting transcendental knowledge through his books and through the systems that he has set up and through the setup of the temples. And they are training, the Siksha Gurus, the temple management, they are training us how to elevate ourselves in Kṛṣṇa consciousness based on Srila Prabhupada's books. That is if you are in the right association. There are many. So in ISKCON, now your question, you're saying that why did Srila Prabhupada try and make Westerners into gurus? So it implies, or even if it did not imply, I'll just cover this. So if he had made Easterners into gurus, would you have thought that would be more appropriate? No. So the answer is it would not have been more appropriate, because whether in this material world everybody is conditioned And unless one is a liberated soul, Uttamadhikari, Mahabhagavata Sreshtha, he cannot be a Diksha Guru. He has to be a Uttamadhikari. In the Nectar of Instruction, first verse, Vacho vegam manasah krodha vegam, jihva vegam udaropastha vegam, etan veganyo vishaheta dhirah, sarvam api mam prithivim sasishyat. A sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the actions of anger and the urges of the tongue, belly and genitals, is qualified to make disciples all over the world. You see? So, only he is qualified. A person who has completely controlled his senses, and only an Uttamadhikari can do this. Others cannot. Uttamadhikari does not fall down. That means he will never come under this control of these things. So, such a person can become the guru of everyone. And such a person, this is a qualification, but also there has to be an authorization. Authorization, that means his guru. So, he has to be ordered by Kṛṣṇa or his representative in order for him to accept such a role of a Diksha Guru. If the guru did not authorize, forget about becoming a guru, he cannot even eat. You know, if the guru did not ask him to eat, a disciple should fast. If for some reason the guru forgets to call the disciple to eat, then the disciple should fast. That such is the stricture of brahmacharya life. And this is not only within brahmacharya, even grihastha. The grihastha couple actually by right cannot have sexual intercourse to have children without being ordered by the guru. When the guru says, okay, now you have, then only they can try. So they cannot have it without, so they can do nothing without the permission of the guru, without the authorization of the guru. And this obedience to the guru is not simply when one is in student life or brahmacharya. Once one has graduated, he can do whatever he likes. Just like in a school, you are listening to we listen to our teachers or whoever in the school until we are in that school. After we graduate, then we don't need to listen to them anymore. But Guru is not like that. Chakshudan diloje janme prabhushe. Janme means every lifetime we are eternally indebted to the Guru. So we have to always abide by his order. Never at any time we can go beyond the order. However much the order seems very difficult, and of course we have to take orders from the right person, though we can't be fanatic. It must be established that the guru is a proper pure devotee, or if you are taking orders from Shiksha Guru, somebody who is like temple management or something like that, who may not be first class Uttamadhikari, but he is strictly following the instructions of the Uttamadhikari, Srila Prabhupada. Such devotees we have to take shelter of, and when they give us directions, we have to follow. But if somebody is complete crazy fellow, then we cannot. So we have to know who is follower and who is not. So that much at least we must know. So Srila Prabhupada did not make anybody gurus. So we have this whole issue was explained by us in a very elaborate series, 5-part series called Ritvik Initiations Webinars, series of webinars. So that series you can watch, or we have a shorter video which is 48 minutes by Sundagopal Prabhu. So he explained in a question and answer format. Nimanita Prabhu interviewed him, and he gave answers. That is a good start actually for a shorter gist of the whole issue. We have our IA 77 Initiations after 1977 position paper on this issue. That also answers everything we need to know. And we have personally done a 5-part elaborate, exhaustive, comprehensive series on this issue, the likes of which do not exist anywhere else on the internet. So we have in our ISKM enough material, ample material to show that Srila Prabhupada, with full evidence, it's not just simply some wild claims, and it's not also just for the sake of blaspheming the gurus or the so-called gurus in ISKCON. We are doing this. No, it is just to present Srila Prabhupada's instructions. And in fact, honestly, to be very honest, every now and then we get newer and newer evidence that supports the Ritvik system. Even after the compilation of IA 77 position paper. IA 77 means, for those who do not know, initiations after 1977. And every serious devotee should get acquainted himself with this subject matter, because without Guru there is no spiritual life. There is no spiritual life without Guru. So we have to know what Srila Prabhupada's intentions were and orders were, everything, from every single angle, every angle. So we have covered that in those, but still we have found more and more evidences every now and then. So yeah, you can take advantage of such material. I think in the comment section we will leave the links, and also in the description of this video we will leave those links for future reference as well. Those we have left them as playlists in our YouTube, in this channel, in this ISKM TV channel. So you can take advantage of that. I think our moderator should have already put the links here. Yeah, there you go. If I can just move this here and here. So videos on the Ritvik system of initiations, IA book in different languages. Yeah. So these two web pages, actually in our ISKM.international website, there is a web page on this, a section on this, with all the resources in one place. So you can take advantage of this, and you can share this also, please. Please first try to understand it yourself before sharing, and then share it. Alright, so that I think hopefully answers that question. So, to sum up this, a guru has to be qualified as an Uttamadhikari, and he has to be authorized by his guru or Kṛṣṇa himself. Otherwise, he cannot accept this position. Period. Of course, there are many verses to supporting this, so that you can watch and read in our materials that we have just shown. Right, so we'll go to the next one. Om Namo Narayanaya is asking one question. Let me just okay. So here the question is, the singularity, a point in time where technological growth becomes unsustainable and machine intelligence surpasses human intelligence, is very near according to powerful materialists like Elon Musk and Ray Kurzweil. Never heard of this Ray Kurzweil. Anyway, so the time frame of something bad happening is between now and next 5 years, and this will necessarily turn out bad because a machine with any goal will act in a way to optimize outcome without consideration of ethics. They are saying the only way some humans will survive is by co-evolving with the machines as cyborgs. What are your thoughts? So, these machines, actually, Srila Prabhupada has commented in the 1973. Ironically, he said this cheating will go on for the next 50 years maximum. After that, everything will crumble. So that 50 years will be 2023, which is next year. People are already seeing through the control that these machines have brought on us, because now we may think that we are having this ubiquitous machine with us, everywhere, it can be taken, and we have full control. I can be entertained anywhere, anytime. Everything is within my pocket. So we have brought ourselves a level of convenience, for example. But with that, the cost of that is we are now we are under surveillance all the time by these machines. These machines can hear what we say and see what we do with the cameras and microphones that are inbuilt. Even if they do not currently do, they certainly have the capability to do it. We are only hoping that they are not doing it, but it has been proved that when you are talking something, even if the phone is the display is turned off and the phone is locked, and if you're talking about some conversation about something with your friend, and then after that you start browsing on Facebook or Google or something, you start to see ads about that. So how did that happen? So and this is not just like a coincidence, it has been a phenomenon. I mean, so many people have testified. I have seen that. I think many of you can testify to that. So there is no denying the fact that these devices are actually entrapping us more and more. Well, the only way to you're saying that humans can survive is by co-evolving with the machines as cyborgs. No, it will actually. So Srila Prabhupada has taught us that we have to be self-sufficient. In fact, some of the materialists are also seeing that now. They also are saying that at this moment. He said we have to have our own farms, our own land, our own cows, our own produce, agricultural produce, so that we can stay as disconnected from this urban unsustainable civilization of Kali Yuga as possible. So, but even then, those lands would be part of the government, right? Government property. And if they want to take over the land, I mean, who can stop them? So that's why it is said in the 12th canto that people will have to run to the forests. They have to run away from city and everything, because it will be so unsustainable living in this kind of environment. The whole point is not about the technology or machines. Now you are saying, a few things you have said here. I'll come to that. But the whole thing is not about the machines. It's about how willing are we to succumb to such control. If we are blind, and if we are just, like the donkey is sometimes, to make it move, there is, sometimes a stick is, tied to the neck like that, and then the carrot is hanging, and then this donkey wants to eat the carrot, and he goes forward and forward, but he never gets to the carrot because it's actually attached to him with a stick. So he always wants to go, and in that way he will keep on going. So we are being led like that by handing us some, this phone, and then we are just, like zombies we have become. And in that way they are just leading. In the name of entertainment, in the name of, this thing, they are actually, a huge scheme is going on to control. And it's not that, this particular person is, doing it, or that particular person, or this particular organization, or that particular country, or this intelligence. These are all actually agents of Maya. We have to just be aware, and then we have to be Kṛṣṇa conscious, and then we can break away from this, from the control that these systems impose on us. So we have to break free by being Kṛṣṇa conscious. So just like in the previous question I have answered, Padma patram ivam bhasa, like the lotus leaf, although in water it doesn't get wet. So we can be in the midst of all these scientific advancement. Prabhupada was certainly in the midst of all machinery, the latest in his time. The aeroplane, the dictaphone, the typewriter, the telephone, all kinds of, and printing press. I mean, everything. was at his disposal. But he never was affected by that. In fact, he used them to his advantage. So a devotee, it's not that cyborgs and all this. The main thing is we have to become Kṛṣṇa conscious. Even if you become a cyborg, you put some machine into your body or something like that, you will not. So the other thing I want to come to is that you said machine intelligence surpasses human intelligence. I would say no. Never. A machine can never be Kṛṣṇa conscious. So nasti buddhira yuktasya. Who does not have intelligence, who is not connected to Kṛṣṇa, he does not have intelligence. And buddhiryasya balam tasya, abuddhasya kutah balam. So, Hitopadesh says, buddhiryasya balam tasya. Who has intelligence, he is strong. So, obviously, if we have created a system where artificial intelligence is so powerful that it can control various parts of our life, but they cannot stop us from being Kṛṣṇa conscious. Apratihata, avyavahita, 2 words are mentioned. So this Kṛṣṇa consciousness cannot be checked by some machines, and machines cannot be Kṛṣṇa conscious. They are not conscious in the first place. What to speak of Kṛṣṇa conscious? They are not conscious. Actually, there is a recent article where it is said that one Google employee is convinced that Google AI, Google Artificial Intelligence, is sentient. Sentient means it's a conscious, real person. It's a real living entity. He was convinced. So, we will get fooled, and already there are things like deep fake, for example. Deep fake is a technology by which you can actually make someone else look like you, or make you look like someone else. So much so that you can't tell any difference. So you may see a video clip of say me talking some utter rubbish or doing something totally nonsense, and you cannot see that actually it's fake. It's so close to real. So these kind of things are possible nowadays. It's already possible, and people are already doing it for sometimes comedic videos, but sometimes also doing it in causing harm. So we cannot distinguish anymore between real and fake anymore. But if we are Kṛṣṇa conscious, we don't have to get entangled in all these things. We just have to use these things and preach Kṛṣṇa consciousness as far as they're available. They won't be available for very long. So as far as they're available, as long as they're available, make use of them and then stay away from them actually. And self-sustaining farm communities, and that's how the future is, the future will be. Because this urban thing won't last very long, it's not very sustainable actually. Alright, so that's what I want to say about this. So, and the other thing I want to say is, don't be too much worried about what is going to happen in the future. Because Kali Yuga, this is not something new, something like never before imagined, or Kṛṣṇa also does not know about this kind of things that can happen. No, Kṛṣṇa knows everything. Every Kali Yuga these things happen. So the only way is Kalistasya Krita Yuge. Viṣṇu Dharma, it is said, Kalau Krita Yugam Tasya Kalistasya Krita Yuge Yasya Chetasi Govindo Hridaye Yasya Nachutaha. For one who has Lord Govinda in his heart, Satya Yuga becomes manifest in the midst of Kali. And conversely, even Satya Yuga becomes Kali Yuga for one who does not have the infallible Lord in his heart. That's the only thing that we have. See? We have to, Kṛṣṇa consciousness is the only answer. Right? We don't have to be too much worried about what's going to happen in the future, because we do not know how long even we will stay. So, at present, what can we do? we can, think of Kṛṣṇa and chant his name, become more and more Kṛṣṇa conscious. Alright, so next. So the question is, Omkar Taware is asking, can divine nature person become demoniac if he is being deluded by three modes? Yes, certainly. We have been demigods. We have become worms in the stool also. So, of course, Karanam Guna Sangosya. So many examples. Indra also did that. Indra fell so many times from his position because of the influence of mode of passion or ignorance. But of course, because he is in such an exalted position, he is somehow saved all the time. But yeah, he can fall. Any person can become deluded. That's why no position in this material world is a security against downfall. So this is explained here. Ya esham puruṣāṁs sakshat atma prabhavamishvaram na bhajantyavajananti sthanat bhrashtaha patantyadha. If any of the members of the four varnas and four ashramas fail to worship or intentionally disrespect the personality of Godhead, who is the source of their own creation, they will fall down from their position into a hellish state of life. If you fail to worship Kṛṣṇa, obviously we will fall down. We have to. Because we just can't. Our nature is to be Kṛṣṇa conscious. We can't stay without being Kṛṣṇa conscious and not fall down. That's not possible. Karanam Guna Sangosya. It's all about our association, how we associate. Conversely, a demon also can become a great devotee. Like Bali Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, all the born in demon family, they became great devotees. So Mrigari the hunter. So these kind of examples are also there. It's all based on association. Next question. So here Vishal is asking, what is the meaning of this statement, merging into the Brahman? Does that mean soul will no longer have its existence, and if a soul is a pure consciousness, then how can it came into the consciousness of being the controller, enjoyer, which is ignorance? Pardon me for my bad English. So, merging into the Brahman means, it does not mean that he loses individuality. He will never lose it. So merging into the effulgence, Brahma Jyoti, even in quantum physics you will see that light or any energy, although it looks like a analog thing, but it's actually quanta of energy. It is also particle and energy at the same time. So that is quantum theory of quantum physics. So similarly, sunlight, although we may see it's like an energy, but actually it's made up of tiny shining particles. So we will be suspended in that spiritual sky in the Brahma Jyoti as one tiny spark in that effulgence of the Brahmajyoti, effulgence. So, so it is not that he loses his individuality, but he's just suspended there, and he gets some happiness because he he can experience eternity, he can experience knowledge, but bliss he cannot experience. Some bliss is there, but it won't last because there is no service. Soul is active by nature, so he can't just be suspended and doing nothing there. So he desires activity, and if he's fortunate, then he may meet a devotee in the spiritual sky, and then he may become a devotee, because sometimes there are many aeroplanes going in the spiritual sky, and devotees go on those planes, and they will be singing the glories of the Lord, and if some of the particles in the Brahmajyoti hear that, and they get attracted, if they are fortunate and get attracted, then they will gain the association of devotees, and they can go to eventually the Vaikuntha planets, and there they can associate with the Lord and serve Him in love. But if for some reason they can't, they will desire activity, and then they will come back to this material world, come back to the material activity. So that's how he falls down. So the next part of the question is then, if a soul is a pure consciousness, then how can it come into the consciousness of being the controller, enjoyer, which is ignorance? Yeah, so we are not Achyuta. Kṛṣṇa is Achyuta. He will never fall down. We can fall down. So we can fall down. By nature we are Achyuta. The only way we can remain immune to fall down or downfall is by being Kṛṣṇa conscious. Is by being Kṛṣṇa conscious. So Kṛṣṇa consciousness keeps us aloof from being fall. That's why just now earlier we have shown that apapa viddham means prophylactic. Kṛṣṇa is prophylactic. He prevents us from downfall, provided we are connected with Him. If we are not, then of course, yaesham puruṣāṁs sakshat, this verse that you see on the screen here. So this says that if you fail to worship Kṛṣṇa, then you will automatically fall down into a hellish state of life. So these are the points. See? So we are Achyuta, we are marginal energy, we are Tatastha Shakti. Tatastha Shakti means marginal. Like the beach. The ocean is water and here is land, and the beach, the shore, is sometimes considered water, sometimes considered land. When it's high tide, then the water comes all over and it is taken as part of the ocean. We consider it ocean. But the same location in the low tide, we consider it land. So what is it actually? It is always land actually. But it is covered sometimes by the water and sometimes it is uncovered. So we are also sometimes covered by Maya and sometimes uncovered. So those are the particles of sand on the land which are never covered by the water. They are like the Nitya Siddhas. But if some wind carries those dust particles and brings them to the shore, and if the ocean now covers them, they can be covered. So Nitya Siddha, although is Nitya Siddha, he can fall down. Jay and Vijay fell down, for example. Now we have other instances also where devotees have come down from the spiritual world. So that can happen. But usually they don't, because they are aware that we have to always serve the Lord. They did not misuse their independence. If I misuse my independence, then I will be put into this material world. So that's how our constitution, because we are very tiny, we are prone or we are apt to we are prone to actually be overpowered by Maya. Although Maya is an inferior energy, material energy is inferior to the spirit soul, because she is so massive and so vast and directly handled by Kṛṣṇa. So she has the power to overpower us. although we are superior. But because we are very tiny, we can be overpowered. But Kṛṣṇa cannot be overpowered like that. And if we take shelter of Kṛṣṇa, we also won't be overpowered. Daivi hi esha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mameva ye prapadyante maya metam tarantite. So if we take shelter of Kṛṣṇa, we also won't be overpowered. Alright, so next. So Archana is asking, Hare Krishna Prabhu, did Kanthi Mala and Tilak is very important to wear for anyone who is in Krishna consciousness? Kindly let me know the significance and benefits. Okay, so Kanthi Mala is this neck beads that we wear on the Kantha, and Tilak is this, not only here, but 12 places, as you can see here also and here also, so like that, in 12 places on the body, on the upper body. So these are important, yes. We have to present ourselves. So usually our external appearance reflects our internal consciousness. Suppose I am going to a business meeting, I have to dress decently, not like I am going for a jog. So when I am jogging, there is a little there is a difference of clothes, and then that is, I feel like a jogger. I feel like some exercising. So in what mood I am, accordingly I will wear. So Krishna's devotees means we are here to please Kṛṣṇa. So our body is actually not our body. This is Kṛṣṇa's body. And sometimes people may say, why is it so important that we wear our clothes if we are not the body? Anything we wear or whatever it is, it shouldn't matter, right? Yeah, it doesn't matter. But if one is Kṛṣṇa conscious, then he will understand that he is not the owner of the body. Kṛṣṇa is the owner of the body. So I have to use this body for the pleasure of Kṛṣṇa, and if Kṛṣṇa wants us to be dressed in a certain way and have these tilak and kanthimala, then we have to do that. If Kṛṣṇa does not want, then no need. But how would you know Kṛṣṇa wants or not? The Guru will tell. Guru said, Prabhupada said, wear. So we have to wear. So of course sometimes for preaching, in countries, sometimes, for book distribution and all, the devotees ask, can we wear this pant, shirts and like that? Prabhupada said, fine, but at least have the tilak. Tilak must be there, shikha must be there. So, and kanthimala of course must be there. So these are non-negotiables. But as far as possible, we should avoid changing our dress. As far as possible. When I say as far as possible, Prabhu, for me only this much is possible. So no, I want to try as far as possible. As much as possible. Wear a devotional clothing and tilak all the time. As much as possible again. Even at home, we should always, I'm not talking about only tilak and kanthimala now. Everything, whole attire and our behavior and everything. Now, particularly coming to the point of tilak and kanthimala. So these are the symbolisms of Vaishnava, and we have to wear them for our own protection. The namam, the tilak is for our own protection, and also it will remind others. Why? How is it for our own protection? Because at least if I dress as a devotee, it will remind myself that, and it will protect me from doing things. So for example, if I wear tilak and then I'll go and watch some Avengers, some movie in a theater, and there may be other people who may come to temple and not so serious devotees, but they know that devotees have some standards and all that. And then they see that, hey, what are you doing? Hey, you are in the temple, right? Brahmachari, what are you doing here? Avengers. Full izzat gone. So, I mean, it's not only our izzat gone, but we are bringing a bad name to Kṛṣṇa and Prabhupada, Parampara, whole thing. We're just like degenerating the whole movement. Prabhupada, how hard he tried and how much sacrifices he has done to get this movement off the ground. And then we are, we have been saved by that movement. And how are we repaying? By bringing the movement back down to the rock bottom. Is that what we should do? So we have to. It will protect us. Okay, I wearing this, I cannot do all these things. So it is a protection for me itself. I can't go and eat in the McDonald's, or I can't do things which are not. I can't think of example, but I can't do things which are not supposed to be done by devotees. So it will guard myself, And over and above that, we have to be enthusiastic. We have to be very enthusiastic about wearing this dress, because Kṛṣṇa wants us to wear. So it's for Kṛṣṇa. This body is for Kṛṣṇa. Wear. And it is a good preaching tool, because it will be a good conversation starter with many people. Some people will just see the tilak and then recognize, oh, Hare Krishna, they will say Hare Krishna. Or if they don't know, if they are curious, they may ask, what is this on your nose? So then you can start explaining. Of course, you must know what it is. It's the lotus feet of Kṛṣṇa and then the tulasi. So this means we are servant of Kṛṣṇa. And that means we have to dedicate our life, our body and everything in the service of Kṛṣṇa. So that is the whole point. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was once asked, who is a Vaishnava? Vaishnava is he who reminds others of Kṛṣṇa upon being seen. So that is, so if somebody sees us and remembers Kṛṣṇa, that is what a Vaishnava should do. He should purify oneself and others. And if others are chanting Hare Krishna because of him, he will benefit also. Unintentionally he has preached already. He has reminded someone else of Kṛṣṇa, and that is a huge plus point for that person who has remembered Kṛṣṇa somehow or other. Because he has made a definite step back home, back to Godhead. At least one step. He may be completely sinful person or what. But that one name, that one chant of Hare Krishna will never go in vain. So, we should always think of all these aspects for our own self-control. And firstly, it is Krishna's body, so it is dressed and has to be, dressed according to Krishna's desire. And then finally, it is a good preaching tool. And the Kanthimala, this is like a dog collar. We have to become a dog of Kṛṣṇa. And also, when one dies, if the tulasi is touching, then Yamaraj won't come nearby. Yamadutas, the servants of Yamaraj, they don't approach such a person. But of course, it does not mean that I can be sinful and just put tulasi and then I won't. No, I must follow. That's why Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote that song. Matha neda kapni pada tilak nake galai mala dekhte vaishnaveru mata asala shakta kajar vela sahaja bhajan korchena mamu sange loye poreru bala. So we cannot be a pretender Vaishnava. Matha neda kapni pada. So shaven head, all Vaishnava dress, tilak nake, there's nice tilak, straight, very straight, and galai mala, kanthi mala is there, everything is there, but dekthe Vaishnava mata. If you see him, you will think, oh, this is Vaishnava. Asala Shakta Kajar Vela. He is actually not a Vaishnava, he is Shakta. Shakta means one who is a worshipper of Durga. But also it means a materialist. Because Durga is who? Is material energy, right? So one who is very interested in the material nature, and then he worships material nature like that. In other words, he thinks sense gratification is all in all. Such a person is actually a Shakta. He is a worshipper of Krishna's energy, Shakti, this Maya Shakti. So he is a Shakta. So either one ritualistically worships Durga, or one is actually a sense gratifier in this material world. He is always a Shakta. They are always into sense gratification, both classes. So Asala Shakta Kajar Vela. His work is all sense gratification. Sahaja Bhajan Korchena Mamu Sangeloy Porer Bala. He will make a big show of a big devotion, and that he is a great Vaishnava, but actually he associates with women privately and all, or his character is not correctly representative of a Vaishnava. So this kind of thing, so it is not just the wearing of it, we have to actually mean what we are wearing. We have to live by that. Okay, I hope that is understood. We have done, of course, in our Strengthening Foundation series, we have done extensively classes, lecture on this, on tilak, extensively. The shapes of tilak and different sampradayas, what they mean, because different sampradayas have different shape of tilak. Like Sri Sampradaya has like a big V and then a line in the center, like red line like that. And some others have just like that and then a dot in the center. So different sampradayas have different tilak shape, and by just looking at the shape, if you know, then you can detect what sampradaya he is from. So many things, I mean, you can know from the tilak itself. So just like gangsters, each gang, they have some tattoos, right, to identify them. So, oh, you are from this gang, or you are from my gang, oh, you are from that enemy gang, I will kill you, or something like that. They have all these kind of symbolisms. So we also have the kind of party language, party symbolism in not only Vaishnava, but like, Shaivite, he will put like this. Shakta, he will put red color, like this. So you can know which gang he is from. And even among Vaishnavas, there is again sampradayas. So which gang? I'm using the word gang in comparison with the mafia gang type. But this is the thing. What is your identification? What do you identify as? So this is just like there are flags, there are emblems. Every country has these things. Insignia. So these insignia are important, just as important as our feeling, our bhava. Because bhava translates into all these things. Why do we, in our temple hall, there's nice Kṛṣṇa's paintings and everything. Why? There is a bhava. So the bhava is expressed in all these external things. So like that, we have to express ourselves. So here, importance of applying tilak for Hare Krishna, for Kṛṣṇa devotees. So this is the link. We will I think it's in the comment section in the chat, and also we will leave it in the description box. Alright, so that is that. So then we will go to the, and I think I did also on the Kanthimala, did I? Or I think in this same class I mentioned also about Kanthimala, maybe something like that. Okay. So another question by Archana Kannan. I heard from other camps saying that without getting diksha from Guru, our chanting won't give full benefit. Is that true? Kindly clarify. Yes. Because chanting means, we have done a whole series on Harinam Chintamani, a book by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. What is the level of progress that needs to be done in our chanting, from Nama Parad and Nama Bhas and Shuddha Nam, and each of these stages also are subdivided into many stages. So there's a lot of advancements to be done, and the beginning is to Ādau Guru Ashrayam Saddharma Pracha. This is not a negotiable thing, it's a non-negotiable for a human being. He has to have a guru, a bona fide guru. So, of course, in our movement here in ISKM, we of course say that Srila Prabhupada is the guru, and with a lot of evidence. We don't just claim without evidence. So we have to get the diksha from the right guru, from Uttama Adhikari, Srila Prabhupada, who is authorized by his guru. So, yes, Adikshitasya Vamoro कृतं तस्य निरर्थकं पशुयोनिम् अवाप्नोति दीक्षा विरहितं जनः. I'll just show that verse. Adīkshitasya vāmoru. I think 15.108, yeah. In the Viṣṇu Yamala, quoted in the Haribhakti Vilas. Unless one is initiated by a bona fide spiritual master, all his devotional activities are useless. A person who is not properly initiated can descend again into the animal species. So, we have to be properly initiated. Otherwise, you see, we can descend into animal species. So, you see, Srila Prabhupada has given us the knowledge, but where is our commitment? So, Diksha means I am committing formally and get the name, Krishna's name, like Kṛṣṇa Das, Madhav Das, Govinda Das, Madan Mohan Das, like that. Name related to Kṛṣṇa. And for Matajis, it's related to Radharani, Lakshmi, like that. So, we have to get that name and everything, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Actually, I will show you. Hmm. 1.208 Madhya. Aji hoite. So this is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu speaking to Rupa and Sanatan Goswamis. Aji hoite duhar naam Rup Sanatan dainya chhada tomar dainya fate moruman. So, my dear Sakar Malik, from this day your names will be changed to Srila Rupa and Srila Sanatan. Now please abandon your humility, for my heart is breaking to see you so humble. So purport. Actually, this is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's initiation of Dabir Khas and Sakar Malik. They approached the Lord with all humility, and the Lord accepted them as old servants, as eternal servants, and He changed their names. It is to be understood from this that it is essential for a disciple to change his name after initiation. Shankha Chakradyur Urdhvapundra Dharanadhyatmalakshanam Tannamakaranam Chaiva Vaishnavatvam Mihochyate. After initiation, the disciple's name must be changed to indicate that he is a servant of Lord Viṣṇu. The disciple should also immediately begin marking his body with tilak, urdhvapundra, especially his forehead. These are spiritual marks, symptoms of a perfect Vaishnava. This is a verse from the Padma Puran Uttarakhanda. A member of the Sahajya Sampradaya does not change his name, therefore he cannot be accepted as a Gaudiya Vaishnava. If a person does not change his name after initiation, it is to be understood that he will continue in his bodily conception of life. So this is the reason why we have to change our name. We have to actually take a this name from the bona fide spiritual master and formalize our commitment to Kṛṣṇa, to the spiritual master. Karishye vachanam tava. Now, Kṛṣṇa has imparted the entire Bhagavad Gita knowledge, but it has come to fruition when so in the beginning, Shishyasteham shadhimam tvam prapannam. He said, I'm your disciple, please instruct me. So he was in want of knowledge now. So he got all the knowledge in Bhagavad Gita. And the end, after he has understood the knowledge, now he's coming to the point of acting on that knowledge. Karishye vachanam tava. So we have taken to the books of Srila Prabhupada, and we have understood so much about our eternal constitutional position, and now we have to serve, and we have to serve with commitment, following all the rules and regulations, being serious about it, and it's a lifetime commitment. It's like a marriage is a lifetime commitment. Of course, nowadays nobody cares, but it is a lifetime commitment. It's supposed to be a lifetime commitment. This is Janme Janme Prabhu se. This is multi-lifetime commitment. You can never repay, even in millions of lifetimes. So this is a commitment. We have to. We cannot repay, but the best thing I can do is offer my life for the service of Kṛṣṇa. So that is, so at least, okay, even if one does not join full time, but he has to follow all the principles set down by the spiritual master. So in this way we are initiated into Vaishnavism. We have to do all these things. There is some class of devotees nowadays, they are saying, oh, we're all for Prabhupada followers, we don't need, actually Diksha is a formality only, real thing is the knowledge. So, so here he is saying, you continue in the bodily conception of life. Because our name, what is our name? Our name is given depending on, tied to our family, because we have a family surname or the father's name, and then, so I belong to such and such family, such and such village, or such and such origin or place, and this is my name, I'm a son of so and so. So that is what the family name means. So I am identifying myself with that by calling myself. So, but when I get the Dikshit name, the Diksha name, the name after the Diksha or initiation, then Govind Das, like mine is Tattvavit Das, or Sundar Gopal Das, Mahaprabhu Das, Subala Das. So we are identifying ourselves as either Kṛṣṇa's servant or Kṛṣṇa's servant's servant. So like that. So now my identification is proper, because this is my constitutional identification, that I am actually a servant of Kṛṣṇa. So any name, so the name also is very important, because everything influences us, right? Influences us. Even our name influences us. Actually, Arjuna, his name was not changed by Kṛṣṇa, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu definitely, did that. He himself changed his own name, and also he changed this Rupa and Sanatan's name. Now, Arjuna was called as Kaunteya, Bharata, Partha. Why? Kṛṣṇa was constantly, if you see Prabhupada's purport in the Bhagavad Gita, he's saying, Kṛṣṇa called him Dhananjaya, Kṛṣṇa called him Mahabahu, these names, because he is reminding him of his heritage. You are coming from, Mother Kunti, and she is coming from this exalted lineage, and she herself is a great devotee. So you being a son of Kunti, you can't do something which brings you infamy and then sets a very bad example for not only the present but the entire future, because this Mahabharata will be known. Actually, there is one verse in Mahabharata where Karna says this, I think. This Mahabharata will be known, or Kṛṣṇa says it, probably. This Mahabharata will be known in human society for as long as the sun is in the sky, for as long as the mountains stand. This will be known, this will never be forgotten. So, until all of that time, if Arjuna does one small mistake, for millions and billions of years, he will be, not only looked down upon, but also people will take that example and do something adharma. So, he is setting a very bad precedent. He would set a very bad precedent if he deviated from his duty at this point. But if he acts righteously according to Kṛṣṇa's instruction, then he will be glorified for that long a time. And it is not to pep up Arjuna, you be glorified. No. But Kṛṣṇa uses his devotees to teach others. So if the devotee sets good example, then everybody can follow, and everybody can get purified. So he kept reminding him of his family heritage all the time. Kaunteya, Bharata, Partha, all these words. So you may say, how come he is identifying him with his family? Is that not this bodily conception of life? No. Because what is this Viṣṇu and the Yadava dynasty and all this? What is that? They are Kṛṣṇa's dynasties. So, it's a glorified dynasty. And to be part of the dynasty is as good as being initiated. Of course, there are other classes of people, Nityananda Vamsha. They are claiming the descendants of Nityananda. But one has to be also devotee. Not that, there are some Nityananda Vamsas, they are not even proper devotees, they have, substandard practices, illicit affairs and all this. We're not into that. So, real following. We have to. So, but our family, where we came from, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami also from, yes, very exalted Kashmiri Brahmins, Pandits. But still, for Kali Yuga, especially for our movement, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu established this point. Whatever aristocratic, everybody Shudra, Kalo Shudra Sambhava. Some people may be a little more pious than others, but nobody is actually really following the full strictures of Brahminical life. So, aristocracy is pretty much absent in Kali Yuga. Only it exists in name, not in real quality. Very rare to be seen otherwise. So, he has made it a mandate that all Gaudiya Vaishnavas, they must change their name. So, in this way, it is very important. Alright, so, next question. So Bhakta Kavyarasu is asking, according to 329.13 verse, among the 5 kinds of liberation is the Ekattva the same as Sayujya? Yes. To merge into the existence of the Lord. So it is not that only Shankaracharya started this. This verse was spoken many millions of years back. And that time already Ekattva is mentioned. That means this philosophy has been there all the time. In different Kali Yugas, this becomes more and more prominent. Different Kali Yugas, this becomes prominent. Especially in Kali Yuga, it becomes more and more prominent. In other Yugas, probably not so much. Because it is actually classified as adharma. So it is adharma. So adharma is predominantly there in Kali Yuga. Salokya sarshta samipya. So for those who do not know what he's talking about in this question, so this is the verse. Salokya sarshta samipya sarupya ekattvam-apyuta diyamanam na grihananti vina matsevanam janaha. A pure devotee does not accept any kind of liberation, Salokya sarshta samipya sarupya or ekattva, even though they are offered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So basically here it is saying that the devotees are not interested in anything, the greatest of benedictions also. They just want to be a servant of the Lord. Even in this material world, even if Kṛṣṇa wills that they have to stay in the material world, they don't mind. So Ekattva is Sayujya, merging into the Supreme Lord, which devotees don't have any interest in. Kaivalyam narakayate. They consider it hell because there is no service there. In the material world, you can serve the Lord. In the spiritual world, you can serve the Lord. In the Brahmajyoti, you cannot. As a particle in the spiritual sky suspended, you cannot. So it is worse than material world. It is hell that way. That's why for them. Of course, you can glorify the Lord in the spiritual sky, but only when you have contacted the devotees. Otherwise, if I do not have that information, I will just be suspended without any service. That is naraka. When there is no service, that is hell. Actually, there is this verse, no? What is that verse? 5:19-14. न यत्र वैकुण्ठ कथा सुधापगा न साधवो भागवतास्तदाश्रयाः न यत्र यज्ञेश मखा महोत्सवाः सुरेशलोकोऽपि न वै स सेव्यताम्. This is them. So where devotees are not interested to go, this is where. An intelligent person does not take interest in a place, even in the topmost planetary system, if the pure Ganges of topics concerning the Supreme Lord's activities does not flow there. So in the Brahmajyoti, this is the point. This does not happen unless one devotee is flying in an aeroplane and singing Hare Kṛṣṇa, then all nearby And also, even if he hears Hare Krishna, if he is attracted to that, if he is fortunate enough to get attracted, that soul suspended in the sky, then yes, he will become more and more, he will blossom in devotional service and he will be allowed to go to Vaikuntha planets. So, but if the pure Ganga of topics concerning the Supreme Lord's activities does not flow there, then an intelligent person is not interested in that place, even if it is in the topmost planetary system or even if it is in the spiritual sky. Then, so that is Nayatra Vaikuntha Katha Sudhapaga. Then Nayatra Nasadhavo Bhagavatas Tadashrayah. Okay. If there are not devotees engaged in the service on the banks of such a river of piety. So, if there are no devotees, in a place where there are no devotees, a devotee is not interested in, an intelligent person is not interested in such a place. And Nayatra Makha Mahotsava, Nayatra Yagnesha Makha Mahotsava. Makha means actually sacrifice, ghee, makha. Makhan means butter, makha means ghee. So with makha, this sacrifices, sacrificial performance to satisfy the Lord. Yagnesha Makha Mahotsava, actual festival. So big Rajaso Yagna and all this, of course, are Karmakanda rituals. There are, like in the Treta Yuga, there are, the way of realization of God was through this Yajato Makhai, this yagnic sacrifices. But all that things should lead to Krishna consciousness. But in Kali Yuga, this Makha Mahotsava, the Makha, the sacrifice, is Sankirtan Yajna. So in the Kali Yuga, this phrase refers to Sankirtan Yajna. So where there is no kirtan, there is no glorification of the Lord, where there is no chanting of festivals of Krishna conscious festivals, where there are no devotees, an intelligent person is not interested. If there are not devotees engaged in the service on the banks of such a river of piety, or if there are no festivals of Sankirtan Yajna to satisfy the Lord, especially since Sankirtan Yajna is recommended in this age. So in the Brahmajyoti is very much absent, almost devoid. Whereas even in the material world, sometimes the devotees come, there are festivals. We have Rath Yatra here in the material world. In the spiritual sky, Brahmajyoti, there is no Rath Yatra. Here there is Janmashtami, there is no Janmashtami. Whereas on the spiritual planets, Akhandotsava. Akhandotsava means, or Nityotsava, eternally festival. Eternally festival. What is that? $556. Very nice verse. Long verse. Shriya Kanta Kanta Parama Purusha Kalpataravo Druma Bhumeschinta Maniganamaye Toyamamritam Kathaganam Natyam Gamanamapi Vamshi Priya Sakhi Chidanandam Jyoti Paramapi Tadasvadyam Apicha Sayatra Kshirabhi Sravati Surabhibhyascha Sumahan Nimeshardhakhyo Va Vrajati nahi yatrapi samaya Bhaje Shvetadvipam Tamahamiha Golokamitiyam Vidantaste Santa Shiti Viralachara Katipaye. Katha Ganam, Natyam Gamanam, Api Vamshi Priya Sakhi. So, Katha is Ganam. So, I worship the transcendental seat known as Shvetadvip, where the loving consorts, the Lakshmis and the unalloyed spiritual essence practice the amorous service of the Supreme Lord Kṛṣṇa as their only lover. Where every tree is a transcendental purpose tree, every soil is a purpose gem, that means Chintamani. All water is nectar, every word is a song, every gate is a dance. And actually every moment is a festival. So if every gate is a dance, every step is a dance, are you not in a festival? If every word is like a song, That's why Bhagavad Gita. So when Krishna speaks, it's a Gita and it's a song. And in the spiritual world, the whole conversations are like songs, beautiful renditions, and every step is a dance. You imagine your life, you're just dancing away all your life. That is, you're just in a festival all your life. So that's how the spiritual world is. Every gate is a dance, every word is a song. So, Chinmaya Rasa, Ananda Chinmaya Rasa. So that is the spiritual world. So that is available for people in the spiritual world, and also sometimes in the material world where devotees have functions, have festivals. No such thing in the Brahma Jyoti, so it is worse than the material world actually. That's why the impersonalists, Ishopanishad says, they go into even darker thing than the demigod worshippers. Although it is Brahma Jyoti, it's full of light, but that it's not that the Jyoti is something bad. The light from Krishna's body, how can it be bad? How can it be worse than material world? Light is not bad. But if the part of that light is also the effulgent devotees who are traveling in the airplanes. They are also effulgent, but they are singing the glories of the Lord. But the particles in the sky and the no spiritual body, nothing. Their attitude is what makes the place hellish. For the devotees who are flying in the aeroplanes, they are also flying in the spiritual sky, but they are not hellish. They are singing the glories. But these fellows, these suspended particles in spiritual, they don't even know the glories of the Lord. So their own attitude of rebellion towards the Lord is what makes that place hellish, and not actually the Brahma Jyoti, which is hellish. Yeah? So, Ishopanishad Mantra 12. Andham tamah pravishanti ye sambhutim upasate tato bhuya ivate tamo yau sambhutyam rataham. Those who are engaged in worship of demigods enter into the darkest region of ignorance. Demigods, but they're still the worshippers go into the darkest region of ignorance, and still more so do the worshippers of the impersonal absolute. So, even more dark, because it's complete hell. Kaivalyam narakayate. For devotees, it's hell. Ekatva. Alright, so next question. Jiver Swarup Hoy Kṛṣṇer Nitya Das in Bengali is asking this question. You may ask how I know how to read Bengali. I can. It takes time for me to read sometimes, but I can understand. So, Jiver Swarup Hoy Kṛṣṇer Nitya Das. Can a woman become more chaste by listening to your classes? I know you are obliged to be humble, but you said women shouldn't associate with men. But obviously you are better association than a wayward woman. Is that wayward man? I do not know. I can't say. So, I actually do these classes to purify myself. I do not know what she feels when she watches the classes. I am just hoping to be of service, to purify myself, and I don't think much about what others think. I hope people become Kṛṣṇa conscious. That's all I can hope. So, I do not know. It's I don't know what kind of question is that. What kind of question that is, I don't know. But yeah, I seriously do not know. So hopefully, this is to just help everyone become devotees. But so we just are praying to Srila Prabhupada and the Vaishnavas that we can fulfill this. So I would appreciate questions on philosophical issues and our philosophy and everything. These are tricky questions because, what am I to say? How can I know what is going on in the other person's mind or heart? I'm just trying to do service on my end, and that's all, to keep myself Kṛṣṇa conscious, that's all. Otherwise I will fall down. So I'm just trying to protect myself, I don't know. Alright, next. Picture Hub is asking. These names are funny. Okay, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, we are living in 4 Chaturmukhi Brahma universe. How different is Panchamukhi or Sahasramukhi Brahma from our universe, and can we go there, or if we are in a material world, we will stay in the same? Why are you so interested in this universe or that universe? Wet stool and dry stool. Dry stool is better than wet stool. Both are stool. You have to take a bath if you touch. So, how different is it? Bigger in size. More planets, more rascals accommodated in such a universe. Yeah. What more can I say? Not enough. These number of planets in the sky, number of stars that you see in the night sky, not enough. You want more? Okay, you can go there and see. So, can we go there? You can't. So, until this universe is destroyed, we can't go out of this universe, except if we are Kṛṣṇa conscious, and then you can go to Vaikuntha, yes. But as long as we are conditioned, not Kṛṣṇa conscious, we will stay in this universe. We can't go to other universes. But of course, there is instances, 2 times, once in Dwarka and once in Vrindavan, where Brahma saw the other Brahmas travel to this universe and bowing down at Krishna's lotus feet. But actually, honestly, they were not traveling. They were in their own universes. But Kṛṣṇa manifested all of them to come and then bow down their heads. And Brahma was feeling like a mouse in the presence of huge, massive elephants like that. Elephant is an understatement actually. 4-headed Brahma and a trillion-headed Brahma. Where is the comparison? So, apparently they traveled, inter-universe travel, inter-universal travel, not just interplanetary travel, inter-universal travel. Unless like one is Narad Muni, who can go to spiritual world and material world. But of course, Narad Muni in this universe, you see, he also go to the Vaikuntha planets in this universe. So they have free access to this. So devotee is freedom. He has complete freedom by the grace of the Lord. He can go anywhere. But those who are not have to stay in the material world, in this particular universe. And once this universe is destroyed, goes back into the body of Mahavishnu, then we all become suspended in the body of Mahavishnu. And again, new universes are created, and we will take birth in one of those universes, and we will stay in that universe until either we get liberated, or if we are foolish enough to stay throughout the universe existence, until again the universe is destroyed. We will stay in that universe only. We can't go to other. It's tightly packed shell. We can't go anywhere. Only with spiritual. If we become spiritual, then we will be unhindered in our path back to Godhead. Right. So that's that. So next question. Rishikesh Sahani. My maternal grandfather used to chant Sita Ram every now and then. At the time of leaving his body, he chanted Sita Ram. Is it possible he attained Vaikuntha though he didn't follow Vaishnava principles? He would have definitely taken a much higher birth and he will continue from there. If he did not follow Vaishnava principles, then it will not be possible for going back to Godhead right away. But definitely, because he was chanting the name of Sita and Ram, so he would have definitely been elevated. Like you see, we are now in the movement, chanting. But how did we get here? Somewhere we chanted, some lifetime here and there, and we accumulated all that, and then now we are associated with a pure devotee, and then it has come to, serious fruition. So, similarly, if one does not follow Vaishnava principles, then he will not get the full effect of going back to Godhead immediately, but he will definitely take a birth very exalted and continue from there. And that is from the Bhagavad Gita, you see. Purvabhyase, this is chapter 6, verse 44. Purvabhyasena tenaiva hriyate hyavashopi saha jignasurapi yogasya shabda brahmati vartate. By virtue of the divine consciousness of his previous life, he automatically becomes attracted to the yogic principles even without seeking them. Such an inquisitive transcendentalist stands always above the ritualistic principles of the scriptures. So, of course, these 641. Prapya punyakritam lokan ushitva shashvatihi samaha Shuchinam Srimatam Gehe Yoga Bhrashto Bhijayate. The unsuccessful yogi, after many years of enjoyment on the planets of the pious living entities, is born into a family of righteous people or into a family of rich aristocracy. Athava yoginam eva kule bhavati dhimatam etadhidurlabhataram loke janmayadidrisham. Or if unsuccessful after long practice of yoga, he takes his birth in a family of transcendentalists who are surely great in wisdom. Certainly such a birth is rare in this world. Tatratam buddhi samyogam labhate paurvadehikam yatate cha tato bhuyah samsiddhau kurunandana. On taking such a birth, he revives the divine consciousness of his previous life, and he again tries to make further progress in order to achieve complete success, O son of Kuru. So this is how it happens. And when the yogi engages himself with sincere endeavor in making further progress, being washed of all contaminations, then ultimately achieving perfection after many births of practice, he attains the supreme goal. Prayatnad yatamanastu yogi samshuddha kilbishah aneka janma samsiddhas tato yati param gatim. Aneka janma samsiddhas. But we can make it in one lifetime if we take it seriously. Or otherwise, many births. Bahunam janmanamante. Alright, so next question. Picture Hub. Prabhuji, I am really depressed with my life. I want to go to Swarga, but it's really tough to go there. I have also heard about Bila Swarga. Why there is more opulence than Swarga and how is life there? Not good. Abrahma bhuvana lokan punaravartino arjuna mamupetya tu kaunteya punarjanmana vidyate. Sorry. Yeah. From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery. Have you heard that? Dukhalayam. Where are you having some hope in the heaven? Wherein repeated birth and death take place, but one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. So, why do you want to settle for anything? If it is tough to go to Swarga, yeah, it is tough to go there, but it is tough to stay there also once you go there. You will come back. So, why are you after Swarga? And you think the Swargaloka Vasis are not depressed? They are also depressed. I'll show you some verses. Below Swarga, why there is more opulence than Swarga and how is life there? Like, now in India, there is not much opulence. But in countries like Europe and America, there is so much opulence. But they are not as religious or as spiritually elevated as Indians. But it is like that. So that is how Bila Swarga is. So much sense gratification. Such people go down. They are having sense gratification without God consciousness. It's a recipe for complete recipe for sinking down into the material ocean. So it is just the last vestiges of whatever enjoyment is left. After that they are going down. So materialists who are completely devoid of any Kṛṣṇa consciousness and very far away from it, when they are very rich, it may make us wonder, why, how come they have achieved this piety of so much wealth or all these things and so much beauty, right? The Westerners, like Caucasian, they're beautiful, right? So beautiful bodies and everything. How come they have all these things and that Indians don't have that much? Okay, Indians also very many beautiful people are there, but generally many beautiful people in the West by nature. So how come? So these are all Bilaswarga type of countries. So they are so much into sense gratification, and they become completely lost in that. They have no strength of character. They have. I'm not generalizing, but not everyone I'm saying, but it is the trend. Of course, there are exceptions. There are nice people everywhere, bad people everywhere, but the general observation is that the more one goes to the West, the more people become atheistic. So, but although they are atheistic, they it becomes more so-called opulent. At least at this point. At one point they were not opulent, but now they are for many hundreds of years. So why? So it is just to give them a chance to just go completely down. Whatever left of the piety that they had, that is they are experiencing, and that's it. So now you are depressed, you are wanting to go to heavenly planets, but heavenly planets don't guarantee any happiness. If heavenly planets guarantee happiness, then Indra should have been very happy. Why is always worried about some sage, doing some tapasya? What is his problem? His problem is that he is worried about his position. He is depressed. He is an anxiety. So 11.3.20 Evam lokam param vidyan nashvaram karma nirmitam satulyatisha-yadvamsam yathā mandalavartinam. One cannot find permanent happiness even on the heavenly planets, which one can attain in the next life by ritualistic ceremonies and sacrifices. Even in material heaven, the living entity is disturbed by rivalry with his equals and envy of those superior to him, and since one's residence in heaven is finished with the exhaustion of pious fruitive activities, the denizens of heaven are afflicted by fear, anticipating the destruction of their heavenly life. Thus they resemble kings who, though enviously admired by ordinary citizens, are constantly harassed by enemy kings and who therefore never attain actual happiness. This is heavenly planets in a nutshell. But I presume you are from India. There is good news. So the demigods, they are saying this. Etadeva hi deva gayanti aho amisham kimakari shobhanam prasanna esham sviduta svayam harih yair janmalabdham nirshubharatajire mukunda sevao payikam sprihahinaha. Since the human form of life is a sublime position for spiritual realization, all the demigods in the heaven speak in this way. Devatas are saying, how wonderful it is for these human beings to have been born in the land of Bharatavarsha. They must have executed pious acts of austerity in the past, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself must have been pleased with them. Otherwise, how could they engage in devotional service in so many ways? We demigods can only aspire to achieve human births in Bharatavarsha to execute devotional service, but these human beings are already engaged there. So in other words, the Swargavasis are the residents of Swargaloka. They are depressed, they are worried, and they are anxious to take birth in India and Bharatavarsha. They are considering the inhabitants of Bharatavarsha as way more fortunate than the heavenly planets, and actually it's true. Because in the heavenly planets there's too much distraction of material happiness. It's too much of a distraction. Just like in hell there is too much of pain distracting us from thinking of Kṛṣṇa. Just like even in this planet, if there is too much of distress, we can't think properly, right? Similarly, if there is too much happiness, also we get intoxicated with that. So both are distractions. So that's why this middle planetary system, earthly planetary system, is very good, because it's just the right mixture of happiness and distress, so that it makes us, conducive. Kṛṣṇa. So it makes us conducive to become Kṛṣṇa. It is conducive for our Kṛṣṇa consciousness to grow. We demigods can only aspire. So that is what they are saying. Next verse. Kim dushkarairnah kratubhistapovratair dānādibheva dyujayena phalguna nayatra narayana pada pankaja smriti pramushta tishayendriyotsavat. Indriya utsavat. We are, Indriya utsavat. Utsava means festival. We are having a festival of the sense gratification. Indriya means senses. Festival of sense gratification always. So we are too blinded by this. So they are saying this. The demigods continue. After performing the very difficult tasks of executing Vedic ritualistic sacrifices, undergoing austerities, observing vows, and giving charity, we have achieved this position as inhabitants of the heavenly planets. But what is the value of this achievement? Here we are certainly very engaged in material sense gratification, and therefore we can hardly remember the lotus feet of Lord Narayana. Indeed, because of our excessive sense gratification, we have almost forgotten his lotus feet. You can read the purports on your own. This is homework for you. But I'm just going to go to the next one. Kalpayusham sthana jayat punarbhavat kshanayusham bharata bhujayovaram kshanena martyena kritam manasvinah sanyasya samyantya bhayam padam hareh. A short life in the land of Bharatavarsha is preferable to a life achieved in Brahmaloka for millions and billions of years, because even if one is elevated to Brahmaloka, he must return to repeated birth and death. Although life in Bharatavarsha in a lower planetary system is very short, one who lives there can elevate himself to full Kṛṣṇa consciousness and achieve the highest perfection even in this short life by fully surrendering unto the lotus feet of the Lord. Thus one attains Vaikuntha-loka, where there is neither anxiety nor repeated birth in the material body. See how the demigods are saying. Then this verse which we just showed. Na yatra Vaikuntha-kathā-sudhāpaga na sādhavo bhāgavatāstadāśrayāh na yatra yajñesha makha-mahotsavā suresha lokopi na vaisa sevyatam. An intelligent person does not take interest in a place, even in the topmost planetary system, if the pure Ganges of topics concerning the Supreme Lord's activities does not flow there, if there are not devotees engaged in the service on the banks of such a river of piety, or if there are no festivals of Sankirtan Yajna to satisfy the Lord, especially since Sankirtan Yajna is recommended in this age. प्राप्ता निर्जातिं त्विहये च जन्तवो ज्ञानक्रियाद्रव्यकलापसंभृतां न वै यतेरन्न पुनर्भवायते भूयो वनौका इव यान्ति बन्धनम्. Bharatavarsha offers the proper land and circumstances in which to execute devotional service, which can free one from the results of jnana and karma. If one obtains a human body in the land of Bharatavarsha with clear sensory organs with which to execute the Sankirtan Yajna, But in spite of this opportunity, he does not take to devotional service. He is certainly like liberated forest animals and birds that are careless and are therefore again bound by a hunter. Indians, wake up! Yaihi shraddhaya barhishi bhagasho haver niruptamishtam vidhi mantra vastutaham ekah pritannam abhirahuto muda घृणाति पूर्णः स्वयं आशिषां प्रभुः. In India, Bharatvarsha, there are many worshippers of the demigods, the various officials appointed by the Supreme Lord, such as Indra, Chandra, Surya, all of whom are worshipped differently. The worshippers offer the demigods their oblations, considering the demigods part and parcel of the whole, the Supreme Lord. Therefore, the Supreme Personality of Godhead accepts these offerings and gradually raises the worshippers to the real standard of devotional service by fulfilling their desires and aspirations. Because the Lord is complete, He offers the worshippers the benedictions they desire, even if they worship only part of His transcendental body. So, Indians are so fortunate. But let's look at this. Demigods are saying Indians are fortunate. And Indians became the most unfortunate now. They are raping the West. Now, Kalauna Rajan Jagatam Param Gurum Trilokanatha tat-pāda-pankajam Prayena Martya Bhagavantam Achyutam Yakshanti Pashanda Vibhinna Chetasah. O King, in the age of Kali, people's intelligence will be diverted by atheism and they will almost never offer sacrifice to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Supreme Spiritual Master of the universe. Although the great personalities who control the three worlds, that means the demigods, all bow down to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, the petty and miserable human beings of this age will not do so. Yannamadheyam riyamana aturaha patan skhalan va vivasho grinan puman vimukta karmar gala uttamam gatim prapnoti yakshyanti natam galau janaha. Terrified, about to die, a man collapses on his bed. Although his voice is faltering and is hardly conscious of what he is saying, if he utters the holy name of the Supreme Lord, he can be freed from the reaction of his fruitive work and achieve the supreme destination. But still, people in the age of Kali will not worship the Supreme Lord. Rascals of the highest order are in this Kali Yuga. So, answering your question, if you are depressed, that is a good sign. Vipadah santu tah shashvat tatra tatra jagadguro bhavato darshanam yat syat apunarbhava darshanam. Kunti Devi is saying, I wish that all those calamities would happen again and again so that we could see you again and again. For seeing you means that we no longer see repeated births and deaths. Okay, before this actually I have to show you this verse. Bhagavad Gita 7:16. Chaturvidha bhajante mam janah sukritino arjuna arto jigyasur artharthi jnani cha bharatarshabha. So the depressed people are here. Arto. Artha means what? The distressed. So this is your category, right? You are saying. So this is good. So bhajan sukritina means what? Those who are pious. If you are pious and you are depressed, good news. If you are impious, then bad news. You will go intoxicating and doing some rubbish. But if you are pious and you are depressed, then it's good news. So why? O best among the Bharatas, 4 kinds of pious men begin to render devotional service unto me: the distressed, the desire of wealth, the inquisitive, and he who is searching for knowledge of the Absolute. So you are one of the 4 classes of people: distressed, inquisitive, desire of wealth, and the wise. So in this way, one can be introduced to Kṛṣṇa consciousness. And therefore, Kunti Devi says, I wish, because Pandavas and Kunti had so much trouble in their life. So after everything was finished, at the age of 110 minimum, 110 years old, she said this verse: I wish that all those calamities would happen again and again so that we could see you again and again. At the age of 110, mind you, when one is spent, when one is one just wants to leave this body, is tired of everything, tired of life. She is saying, I wish all those calamities would happen again and again. I am ready to take them on even at this age. Because why? That will be an impetus to think of you. So of course she will think of Kṛṣṇa whether in distress or happiness. But she is teaching us, who usually have the tendency to think of Kṛṣṇa only in times of distress. So it is saying, she is actually teaching us that distress is better for you than happiness, because there is more fervent prayer that happens. So anyway, I am not just glorifying distress and nothing else. Now, if you take to reading Prabhupada's books and chanting Hare Krishna, associating with us in the classes, and if you have physical association of devotees, proper devotees, then you can associate with them. But in ISKCON, they will ask you to take initiation from the Guru, so that's a big danger there. Those Gurus are not qualified, bona fide. But otherwise, take to Krishna consciousness. There will be no more depression. Why are you depressed? That means you are not Krishna conscious. If you are reading Prabhupada's books and started to chant Hare Krishna, you will never be in depression. There is no way. Depression, you will forget what is depression. Understand? So please read Prabhupada's books and chant Hare Krishna. That's it. All benedictions will be there. Iha hoite sarva siddhi tomar. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, you just chant Hare Krishna, all perfection will be there. So next question. Tasha Mataji is asking, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, I am the cause of all causes, but at the same time, Bhagavad Gita also states that we have free will. Can you explain this? Yes. So, when we see in a court of law, the judge, he gives the sentence to the criminal. So, the judge is deciding what this criminal has to get. 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, or a fine only, small fine, or lifetime, or death in some countries, capital punishment. So, the judge is the cause of whatever happens in the next 5-10 years, or whether he is going to be hanged or whatever. So, he is the cause of that. But the free will was of that person who was judged. He could have acted nicely, and instead of seeing the judge, he would have seen the Prime Minister, maybe got some good award if he has done some good work in society. But he chose to go the wrong path, and now he has faced the judge, and now he is facing this. So his free will. Ultimately, Kṛṣṇa provides, like the government provides the education department, and the government also handles the prison department, the police department, the defense department. So some are encouraging departments, some are discouraging departments. It's not a discouraging department actually, but if one is an outlaw, then for him it will be a discouraging department, the prison. So sarva karana karanam. So a person is enjoying in a university, he is getting this high paying job or whatever, he is enjoying his life. Karanam, why? Because the country has provided him the opportunity for all these jobs. Even if he studies everything, if there are no jobs, then what he can do? So the country has somehow provided him, and he's somehow in a comfortable situation. So there also the country's government is instrumental, right? Is a cause. And the prison also, the punishment also, the cause is the government. But the citizens have the free will to act in whichever way they want. It is just that there are consequences. If I act in this way, yes, I will go up, and if I act in another way, criminal, then I will go down. So I can choose to act. But in either case, the accommodation for the a successful entrepreneur or businessman or engineer or whatever, scientist, and the accommodation for the criminal is provided by the government. So in one way, government is the cause of everything, all situations of life. But then still the individual citizens have freedom of choice in whichever way they want to act. So that's exactly how we are governed by Kṛṣṇa. So Kṛṣṇa is sarva karana karanam, everything. Now, if we want to be an atheist, Kṛṣṇa will give us the tongue to talk nonsense about God. But unless He gives the tongue, we cannot have the tongue. So He is the cause of our tongue, which speaks all nonsense about Him. But we have the free will how we use it. He is giving the facility. Now what we make out of that, that's our free will. And the consequences, everything has consequences. We are free to act. But we also have to understand that each of those acts have consequences. Like if there is a fertile land, I am free to sow whichever seed I want. But the consequence is that whatever seed I put, that fruit only, that tree only will grow and that fruit only will come out. I have to prepare. I have to be prepared for the consequence. So I can do whatever I want now. But future, I am signing up for a contract of consequences. So that is, we have to accept that. So, and those consequences will also be awarded by the Lord. Because the law was entirely prepared by the Lord. No? So He will give the facility. So if we have acted in such way, we have the terms of contract are there and then we will get the resultant thing. So in that way. But which contract we want to sign? The contract which takes us back to Godhead or the contract which takes us to hell, that is up to us. That free will we have. But all the contracts are ready. Kṛṣṇa is putting all the things laying it all out on the table. You choose which one you want, which ticket you want to take. All flights are available. Which ticket you want, you can take. Which destination you want to go, your wish. But all destinations are prepared by me. That is the meaning of sarva karana karanam, and yet completely aloof and from interfering with our free will. Like that. So next question. Nishita Mataji. What is the definition of sin? Is any type of sense gratification a sinful activity? If so, why are intoxication, gambling, illicit sex and meat eating specifically called out? Yes, so any sense gratification is ultimately a sin. Although Kṛṣṇa is kind enough to name some of them as pious, like going to the heavenly planets as pious activity, or doing some vrata, some dāna or something as pious activity. But if I do that dān to somebody without the sense of, without having any gratitude towards Kṛṣṇa, and it is not according to Kṛṣṇa's instructions, if I do some charity, that is actually not acknowledging Kṛṣṇa. Actually we are still disobedient to Kṛṣṇa. But Kṛṣṇa called it pious so that at least it is better than complete sinful life. So there is adharma, there is aparadharma, and there is paradharma. So adharma means completely against all Vedic injunctions. Aparadharma is materially motivated religion, which is in the Karma Kanda section of the Vedas. Go to heavenly planets or do good to others and others. It is at least better than adharma. In that way it is termed as pious. But it is not really very high grade. When it comes to paradharma, transcendental religion, savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhaktira dhokshaje ahaitukya pratihata yayatma suprasidati. And that paradharma is devotional service. So now, sinful activity. So even the thing that is aparadharma is technically, from absolute black and white black and white standpoint, it is actually a sinful activity. But it is still considered pious because at least there is obedience to Vedic injunctions which are word of God. So you are obeying God. Because Kṛṣṇa has set out this sahayajñah praja srištva purovaca prajapati anena prasavishyadham eshavostvishta kamadhuk. So karma brahmodbhavam vidhi brahmakshara samudbhavam. This is 3.15 Bhagavad Gita 3.15. So karma brahmodbhavam vidhi. So one's activities are regulated by Brahma, which is Vedas, Shabda Brahma. And Brahma akshara samudbhavam. Akshara means the Supreme Lord. So these Vedas have come from the Supreme Lord, Vedo Narayana Sakshat. So by worshipping this demigod, we are following a code mentioned in the, or an order we are following that is mentioned in the Vedas, which is word of God. So we are obeying God, obeying Viṣṇu. Although Viṣṇu is kind enough to give us an order which facilitates our sense gratification, so that at least it can be an excuse to obey him. So he wants somewhere or other to purify us. So he is finding some excuse. So in that way he has encouraged this. So but meat eating, illicit sex, gambling, intoxication are complete adharma. Complete adharma. And there is reason why these four are called out. Because they destroy the pillars of the four pillars of religion. What are the four pillars of religion? Cleanliness. What is that? Mercy. Truthfulness. And what is the other one? Austerity. These four are the pillars of religion. Now, we will see here. One 17:38. सूत उवाच अभ्यर्थितस्तदातस्मै स्थानानि कलये ददौ द्यूतं पानं स्त्रियः सूना यत्राधर्मश्चतुर्विधः. Yatra adharma, this is complete adharma, sinful activities. Whereas aparadharma, although it is from the viewpoint of paradharma, it is sinful activity, but it is at least in the path of dharma. So, yatra adharma. So, dyutam panam, dyutam means gambling. Panam means drinking, intoxication, I mean. So, striya, illicit association with women, and suna, animal slaughter. So, these four are called out here in this verse, 117:38 of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Suta Goswami said, Maharaj Parikshit, thus being petitioned by the personality of Kali, gave him permission to reside in places where gambling, drinking, prostitution and animal slaughter were performed. So Kali will reign supreme with adharma. And adharma means these four things. Why these four things? Why only these four? Why not other things like lying maybe or stealing? Everything is involved in these things, because if you see 117:24, tapah shaucham daya satyam iti padah krite kritaah adharmam shaistrayo bhagnah smaya sangamadaistava. In the age of truthfulness, in the age of Satya, truthfulness, Satya Yuga, your four legs. So what is your four legs? What is his four legs? So the king said, "Oh, you who are in the form of a bull, you know the truth of religion." So the bull is the symbol of religion, and the cow is the mother. Bull is religion. Religion is signified by bull. And you are speaking according to the principle that is the destination intended for the perpetrator of irreligious acts. Is also intended, you know the truth of religion, and you are speaking according to the principle that the destination intended for the perpetrator of irreligious acts is also intended for one who identifies the perpetrator. You are no other than the personality of religion. So this bull has four legs. Now, what this verse means, we can go into the purport, but I'm not going to go there. You can read it on your own. But my point is here. Tapah shaucham daya satyam iti padah krite krita. So in the age of Satya, Your four legs. So the religion's four legs, four pillars of religion were established by the four principles of austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness. But it appears that three of your legs are broken due to rampant irreligion in the form of pride, lust for women, and intoxication. So, what is remaining? Truthfulness. So, that is also depreciating. Now, you see, last 2 years we have seen, so much fake news. It has always been going on actually. Fake news is not new. Always been going on, but it has come to the fore. People have understood that there is something called fake news. Until now, they were just fooled by the fake news. So-called history is much of modern history is actually fake news. It is said that there are so many wars that took place, right? So who writes the history books? The winners of those wars write the history books, and they are always biased because they want to proclaim themselves as heroes and the other guys as a villain. For example, Hitler killed about 6 million Jews. Certainly not good, certainly bad. But he is made the face of cruelty. The face of cruelty is Hitler. But Hitler killed 6 million Jews and also other soldiers under him or whatever. But he he killed so many Jews. Certainly bad. But Winston Churchill killed 20 million people. Stalin also killed as many. Mao Zedong in China, I think 100 million. So many people they killed, but they are not really. So who is writing these history books? So we are fed one narrow-minded this thing and engineered by the winners of the war, and they write the history books. Those who lost, they will go into oblivion. So is all biased. So fake news. What I am trying to say is, I am not a supporter of Hitler or anything. Please don't get me wrong. So the fake news has been going on all the time. If you have to poison people, you have to poison their news. Then people will consume and people will believe what they are being fed. So fake news has always been there, especially in this Kali Yuga. Before that, not so much. So the last remaining leg. So the cleanliness. So tapa. What is that? Tapa, shaucham, daya, satyam. These are the four pillars of religion. Now, when we say no meat eating, no illicit sex, no gambling, no intoxication, this pride means I am better than you. So this is very much prominent in the animal killers. Like, I need to have a tasty lunch. I don't care whether you live or die. I want you dead just so that my tongue will be satisfied. So you have to die for my pleasure. This is absolute pride. I mean, grossest form of pride. So in the form of pride, what happens? Himsa. We exploit. We bring harm to others because we want to be happy. I don't care what you die. I don't care. You have to be my lunch. So that attitude is extreme pride. Who are we to say? Of course, jivasya jivanam. Fine. Every living entity has to live on another living entity for life. Even plant has life. But that is ordained by the Lord. That is ordained by the Lord, and that also we have to offer it to the Lord and then eat as prasadam. Otherwise, even vegetarian food is sinful. But meat eating is certainly sinful. It's very, very grossly sinful. There are degrees of sin also. The degree of meat eating sin is very, very, very high. So this pride, this excessive pride, that I feel the entitlement that others have to die for my pleasure. What kind of attitude is that? So that is meat eating. So it involves all kinds of pride. Now pride is also sinful, right? So why is it not mentioned in the four? Because by meat eating, it is the grossest form of it. But it is actually, what it breaks is, by eating meat, we are breaking that pillar of, daya. Daya means mercy. We cannot have mercy when we are proud. We cannot be merciful. So, one of the religion's legs, these are the foundations of religion. The tapaha, Shaucham, Daya, Satyam, foundations of religion. And lust for women. Lust, third chapter, 37th verse onwards to 43, Kṛṣṇa, heavily speaks about how dangerous lust is. So, pride, coming back to pride. Pride can happen in all levels, but it is, the worst form of it is meat eating. And of course, nowadays mothers kill their own children in the womb just because my freedom, I can do whatever I want. I don't care, you die. My child, I don't care. So this kind of attitude. So this is pride. So total himsa. So then lust for women. Lust is always bad. That is another irreligious thing. And so illicit sex, when one is prohibited, yes. So this pillar stands strong. Intoxication. So intoxication, what it does? Austerity goes away. Tapasya. So if you see here, Satyam is the only thing still. Okay, we will come to Satyam. So Tapaha, Shaucham and Daya are almost completely gone. No tapasya. Who can do tapasya in this Kali Yuga? That's why Harer Nama eva kevalam. No tapasya. You are foolish. You are manda sumanda mata. You are useless fellow. You just chant Hare Krishna. This is the instruction of Shastra for Kali Yuga population. You cannot do any meditation. Forget it. What tapasya we can do? Shaucham, clean. Everybody is so unclean in their mind, in their body. Daya, no daya. Eating meat everywhere. 90% of the world's population is meat eaters. Maybe even more, I don't know. So, it is hardly to be found, these qualities. Very, very rare. Although they may claim, I am kind and all this, just to humans. There is very narrow-mindedness, right? So, these are almost completely gone down. Now, Satyam is the only remaining leg in Kali Yuga. So, gambling makes us lie. So, when we gamble, we, want money, and then we want to steal, we want to, do everything. So, Satyam will be gone. So, these pillars of religion will be broken if we break those principles. So, to keep the foundation of religion strong, so we follow these four. So, because they are complete adharma. But others, they can be molded, they can be totally, slowly brought to, elevated to Kṛṣṇa consciousness eventually. But if we do these things, it is very difficult. So that's why it is said like that. So adharma we have to absolutely abnegate from. But aparadharma, if one is, everybody, we are not completely paradharma, right? We are not, pure devotees are completely in paradharma. But we are, of course our principles is all about, paradharma. But we are still in the modes. So there are some adjustments to be made, So that's why Prabhupada made, some adjustments. But no compromise with material nature. There is no materially motivated religion. But just to accommodate our conditional nature, like we can't chant 64 rounds. So Prabhupada says 16 rounds. Actual standard is 64 rounds. So, but still it is 16 rounds also only Hare Krishna. It's not some karma kanda. So what is the rest of the time what we're going to do? Other Krishna service, Krishnarthya Akhila Cheshta. So it is all centered around Krishna, but to, also cater for our conditioned nature so that we can slowly elevate to completely pure devotional service. But the path is pure devotional path. It is just that how far we have taken to that path, how seriously and how, experienced and how advanced we are on that path. So like that. But these gross things absolutely should be avoided. No way we can do those things and doing Kṛṣṇa consciousness at the same time now. That's why. So I hope that answers the question. Okay, next question. AGTSP. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, if someone is angry, where does the anger come from? Is it from the mind, heart, or soul? Good question. (11:28:15) Shoka harsha bhaya krodha lobha moha sprihadayah ahankarasya drishyante janma mrityuschanatmanah. Lamentation, elation, fear, anger, greed, confusion and hankering, as well as birth and death, are experiences of the false ego and not of the pure soul. So this false ego means what? False identification. Why we become angry? Because I, as a soul, am misidentifying myself with this body. And because I think I am the body, I think gratification of my senses is happiness. And when something frustrates that, something comes in the way of that, I become angry. So it all is based on our false ego, false identification. So of course the soul is identifying himself wrongly, falsely. So it is the soul. See, you have to understand, material nature in all its gross and subtle forms, ingredients, is not independently active. Only the soul makes it active. So the false ego is so subtle, because false ego is just the misidentification. So the soul misidentifying itself, that misidentification is false ego. So but who is doing it? Soul, because of his misuse of his independence. And therefore, of course it is the soul. The body cannot feel anger. A dead body, it doesn't feel, it doesn't laugh at your joke, it doesn't, unless he's a ghost, I mean. So otherwise, he doesn't laugh at your joke, he doesn't cry for your, anything that distressing thing that happens. He doesn't become angry. No, dead body has none of those feelings. Feelings only come from the soul. Thinking, feeling and willing. And feeling involves all these other feelings. Anger is one of them. So it all comes from the soul. But it is expressed through false ego. But when that anger is expressed, krodha bhakta dveshi jane, Narottam Das Thakur says, I want to employ my anger against those who are envious of the devotees of Kṛṣṇa. That is anger expressed through ego. That is spiritual anger. Hanuman was angry. His anger is glorified. He burned the Lanka. It is glorified. His anger is glorified. So anger has to be used when it is just to be used. When it has to be used, when Kṛṣṇa is offended, or his pure devotee is blasphemed, or Kṛṣṇa is blasphemed, then one has to employ anger. So otherwise, for every other purposes in this material world, it comes from the false ego, this misidentification. But it is the soul that generates anger. When? Either in misuse or in proper use. Yeah, it is the soul. But through false ego or true ego. True ego is his real self. False ego is for wrong purposes. I hope that answers the question. Sanatan Prema. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, all glories to Prabhupada. Could you please clarify the first and second initiation process in ISKM, ISKCON or Gaudiya Math or in different Gaudiya Parivars? Please different mantras given concept of Siddha Deha. Okay, so Siddha Deha means your perfect spiritual form that you will get when you become qualified for that. So when our devotional service becomes qualified, fine-tuned to that level, then in the perfectional stage, when we reach the love of Godhead stage, prema, that's when we will achieve our Siddha Deha, our perfect, our original spiritual form in the spiritual world. We don't have to worry about that at this point, because that will naturally awaken. when time is ripe, when our sadhana attains fruition. For now, we don't have to be concerned about that perfectional stage. It is not to be worried about at this point. What we have to be worried about at this point is to take to the process diligently. So, first and second initiation process in ISKM, ISKCON, Gaudiya Math or in other different Gaudiya Parivars. Okay, in any sampradaya, anywhere, the Diksha means Divyam Jnanam Yato Dadyat Kuryat Papasya Sankshayam Tatha Diksheti Sa Prokta Deshikais Tattva Kovidaihi. So that is Diksha. Let me show you that verse. This is the definition of Diksha. Bhakti Sandarbha Jiva Goswami. Diksha is a process by which one can awaken his transcendental knowledge and vanquish all reactions caused by sinful activity. A person expert in the study of the revealed scriptures knows this process as Diksha. So the regulative principles of Diksha are explained in Hari Bhakti Vilas 2, chapter 2, text 3 and 4 and Bhakti Sandarbha. Dvijanamanupetanam svakarmadhyayanadishu yathādhikaro nastiha syachopanayanadanum tathatradikshitanam tu mantradevarchanadishu nadhikarostyatah kuryadatmanam shivasamstutam. Even though born in a Brahmana family, one cannot engage in Vedic rituals without being initiated and having a sacred thread. Although born in a Brahmana family, one becomes a Brahmana only after initiation and the sacred thread ceremony. Unless one is initiated as a Brahmana, one cannot worship the holy name properly. So, and all this whole purport is very, very, you see, Hari Bhakti Vilas for this. Ato gurum pranamyaivam sarvasvam vinivedyacha grihniyad vaishnavam mantram diksha purvam vidhanatah. It is the duty of every human being to surrender to a bona fide spiritual master. Giving him everything, body, mind and intelligence, one must take Vaishnava initiation from him. This is how initiation should be taken. Yathā kāñcana tāmyāti kāmsam rasavidhanatah tatha diksha vidhanena dvijatvam jayate nirnam. By chemical manipulation, bell metal is turned into gold when touched by mercury. Similarly, when a person is properly initiated, he can acquire the qualities of a Brahmana. So, in the Hari Bhakti Vilas, in discussing the Puraṣcārya process, quotes the following verses from the Agastya Samhita. Puja traikaliki nityam japas tarpanamevacha homo brahmana bhuktischa puraṣcāranamuchyate guror labdhasya mantrasya prasadena yathā vidhi pancangopasana siddhyai puraṣcaitad vidhiyate. In the morning, afternoon and evening, one should worship the deity, chant the Hare Krishna mantra, offer oblations, perform a fire sacrifice and feed the Brahmanas. These 5 activities constitute Puraṣcārya. To attain full success when taking initiation from the spiritual master, one should perform these Puraṣcārya processes. But of course, in our Puraṣcārya means, actually Prabhupada explains. The word Purah means before and Charya means activities. Due to the necessity of these activities, we do not immediately initiate disciples in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. For 6 months, a candidate for initiation must first attend Arati and classes in the Shastras, practice the regulative principles and associate with other devotees. When one is actually advanced in the Puraṣcārya Vidhi, he is recommended by the local temple president for initiation. It is not that anyone can be suddenly initiated without meeting the requirements. So, although the other 5 things are mentioned there in Agastya Samhita, how to apply this in Kali Yuga, Prabhupada is very simply putting this here. So for 6 months, at least, one should not only chant 16 rounds, but also attend Arati and classes in the Shastras. You should know some philosophy. You should not just be some Buddhu fellow. And practice regular principles and associate with other devotees. So he has to have all this, the candidate must be, well suited for the initiation. So Dohar Pariksha, I'll show you, but I'll read this first. When one is actually advanced in the Puruṣārya Vidhi, he is recommended by the local temple president for initiation. It is not that anyone can be suddenly initiated without meeting the requirements. When one is further advanced by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra 16 rounds daily, following the regulatory principles and attending classes, he receives the sacred thread Brahmanical recognition after the second 6 months. So this is the first and second initiations. In the Hari Bhakti Vilas, 17th chapter 4 and 5 and 7th verse, Vina yena na siddha syan mantro varsha shatairapi kritena yena labhate sadhako vanchitam phalam. Wow. Puraṣcharana sampanno mantro hi phaladhayakah atah puraṣkriyam kuryat mantra vitsiddhikam kankshaya puraṣkriya hi mantranam pradhanam viryamuchyate वीर्यहीनो यथा देहि सर्वकर्मसु न क्षमः पुरश्चरणहीनो हि तथा mantrah prakirtitah. Without performing the Puraṣcharya activities, one cannot become perfect even by chanting this mantra for hundreds of years. But one who has undergone the Puraṣcharya Vidhi process can attain success very easily. If one wishes to perfect his initiation, he must first undergo the Puraṣcharya activities. The Puraṣcharya process is the life force by which one is successful in chanting the mantra. The Puraṣcharya is the life force. Now, this Puraṣcharya is not only the 6 months and 6 months before, but even after initiation, we have to keep to this process. It's not that, attending classes until initiation, right? Okay, I will do that. After initiation, go movies, go do everything. What is the point? One has lost everything then. This Puraṣcharya Vidhi, even after initiation, we have to still perform this devotional service. The first and second 6 months, for the first initiation 6 months, second initiation 6 months, that is to just see whether this person is capable of doing this whole life. That is why it is tested for 6 months, to see whether you can steadily do it or not. That's all. If you can steadily do it, okay, then at initiation, the vow is that for the rest of my life I'm going to do this. So if we stick to the process, then we will become strong, our life force. The Puraṣcharya process, and not only for Pura, even after Paschatcharya, or whatever you call it, after initiation, the Bhajana Kriya, actually, it is called Bhajana Kriya. So Bhajana Kriya is after initiation. Before initiation, it is all of whatever our devotional activities are called Puraṣcharya. So this Bhajana Kriya, Puraṣcharya, this is the life force by which, you see, the Puraṣcharya process is the life force by which one is successful in chanting the mantra. Without the life force, one cannot do anything. Similarly, without the life force of the Puraṣcharya Vidhi, no mantra can be perfected. So this is not only for the 6 months. After 6 months I can do whatever and I will still be perfect. No. All the time. So this is Puraṣcharya Vidhi. Whatever we have done in the Puraṣcharya, we have to continue doing that. So let's read further on. Actually, this is very nice purport. Everything is here in one place about initiations. In his Bhakti Sandarbha 283 and 84, Srila Jiva Goswami describes the importance of deity worship and initiation as Diksha as follows. Of course, there is a whole Sanskrit here. I'm not going to read all of that now. But of course, we will find some gems there in the Sanskrit. But we're just going to go to the English now. It is Śrīmad Bhāgavatam's opinion that the process of deity worship is not actually necessary. Just as the specific prescriptions of the Pancharatra and other scriptures do not have to be followed. The Bhāgavatam enjoins that even without practicing deity worship, one can achieve the complete success of human life by any of the other devotional processes, such as simply offering oneself at the Lord's feet for his protection. Nonetheless, Vaishnavas following the path of Sri Narada and his successors endeavor to establish a personal relationship with the Lord by receiving the grace of a bona fide spiritual master through initiation, and in this tradition the devotees are obliged at the time of initiation to begin engaging in deity worship. Although deity worship is not essential, the material conditioning of most candidates for devotional service requires that they engage in this activity. Ultimately, it is not required, but our conditioned nature is such that we need this to get to the point where ultimately we can do away with deity worship. But do away with deity worship does not mean, no, I don't want to come to a temple, nothing, I don't want to, I just impersonalist. No. Like you see Prabhupada, he's always very, attentive to the deities, right? He established deity worship everywhere with great care, with great anxiety actually. Sometimes he cried, established the deities in Australia, he cried. So devotees were asking, what happened, Prabhupada? No, I'm very much anxious that in fact, he told Kṛṣṇa like this. Prabhupada told Kṛṣṇa, I am leaving you in the hands of these mlechas and yavanas, who have no past history of, cleanliness or service attitude and all these things. They are mlechas and yavanas, just became devotees. They're not very much experienced. I am leaving you in the hands of these people. I really hope that you will be taken good care of. I'm very worried. So Prabhupada was so anxious about deity worship. But he's a pure devotee. Why is he anxious? Oh, you no need to, have anything connection, do away with deity worship. It's not do away with the deity worship. At that time, his deity worship will be perfect. And even if he does not worship the deity, he is still perfect. Because he is engaging in all the time in other devotional activities. But for a conditioned soul, especially one who is starting out neophyte, he is not regulated. His mind must be focused. So therefore, deity worship is very essential. Very, very essential. So although deity worship is not essential, the material conditioning of most candidates for devotional service requires that they engage in this activity. When we consider their bodily and mental conditions, we find that the character of such candidates is impure and their minds are agitated. Therefore, to rectify this material conditioning, the great sage Narada and others have at different times recommended various kinds of regulations for deity worship. Similarly, the Ramarchana Chandrika states, Vinay Vadiksham Vipendra Puraṣcharyam Vinay Vahi Vinay Vanyasa Vidhina Japa Matrena Siddhida. O best of the Brahmanas, even without initiation, preliminary purification, or acceptance of the renounced order, one can attain perfection in devotional service simply by chanting the Lord's holy name. So, the holy name does not require initiation. That is actually the whole premise of this verse. In fact, 2 verses later, there is actually a Sanskrit verse tells that thing. We'll go to that verse after this. But still, Jiva Goswami and the Acharyas, they comment so much importance on the initiation. Whereas the verse says initiation is not required. Why? Bhashyam is required here. Explanation, commentary is required by Acharyas. So, the answer is, holy name, yes. When it's chanted purely, there's no need of anything else. Because we're not pure, so therefore regulating everything else, that deity worship is essential. In other words, the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is so powerful that it does not depend on official initiation. But if one is initiated and engages in Pancharatra Vidhi deity worship, his Krishna consciousness will awaken very soon and his identification with the material world will be vanquished. This is another thing. We are very much, attracted to our own body, attached to our own body. So we are always bodily conscious. So we have to have a form. Anyway, the spiritual form is there. So when we think of the deity, so everything now we think about the deity. So that deity has form. And so we buy earrings for the Lord, we buy, decorative items for the Lord, we conduct big festivals for the pleasure of the Lord. Everything for the pleasure of the Lord. So, everything, like temple and everything, the dress, the festivals, the abhishek, bathing, so many things, activities, cooking, bathing the Lord, big establishment, the date. Recently Pavaneshwar Prabhu has relocated to India. So, for kitchen supplies and everything, I have to a little bit, manage that. So, it is a big service. Pavaneshwar Prabhu was doing so much service. So, why? To cook for the Lord. Deity. Elaborate. Very elaborate. So much ingredients, so many things need to be bought or get donated or, something like that. So, all these things, that is only for cooking. And then there's garland making. Devotees are doing garlands. So, there are services. And because of that, some volunteer, just a newcomer would come and learn how to do garlands and then engage in service of the Lord. Just because there is a deity, there are garlands. If there is no deity worship, what garland will do? What flowers? No need to order flowers, no need to order fruits, no need to order nothing. Sit down and sleep. Just order some little bit food and eat and sleep. Right? But because of the deity, everything has to be very kingly opulence, Raj Bhog, for the Lord. So deity worship, everything, the service expands because of deity. Actually, we should read the Madhavendra Puris, how he established deity worship and extensive services for everyone. Everyone is employed in serving the deity. Beautiful description of how Madhavendra Puri established deity worship in Kṣīra Gopinath Mandir. Anyway, so deity worship is very essential. And so what happens is identification with the material world is vanquished. So his identification with the body. So when we think more and more for the Lord, for his eating, for his decoration, for his pleasure, for his enjoyment, festivals and everything. So we think less of ourselves. Instead of I having my own birthday celebration, no, we will do Krishna's birthday celebration, Janmashtami, Gaura Purnima, Narsimha Chaturdasi, Ramchandra Bhagavan, Ram Navami. So in this way we have so many. Varaha Dvadashi, Vamana Dvadashi. So many we are having. And also Advaita Acharya, Panchatattva, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, all the Acharyas like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, everybody. So Acharyas and devotees, their appearance days. And we forget about our. If we have a birthday, we do it engage in service of the devotees. Western way of birthday celebration is, I will cut the cake, everybody has to give gifts to me, and I will be the enjoyer. Whereas our Vedic way of celebration of birthday or any auspicious occasion is give, serve others, serve the devotees, not just anybody, serve the devotees. You can serve anybody, giving them prasadam. Don't give money and all this, or education and all this. Main thing is prasadam and Krishna consciousness knowledge. Books and prasadam. So, we have to give. So, Nanda Maharaj, when Krishna was born, what happened? He donated cows. He donated to the Brahmanas, wealth, so much charity. So, celebration by giving is the proper Vedic way of celebration, not by celebration of taking everything. That is increasing the mentality of I am the Lord of all I survey. That is a very demonic way of celebration. Proper way is to serve. So identification with the material world will be vanquished. So we will think less and less of ourselves and more of Kṛṣṇa. Instead of dressing myself in fashionable ways, dress Kṛṣṇa in nice ways, different. Look at the other deities, how they are being dressed, and observe what is the angle, how they are tying the cloth, and where they are placing the flowers, why it is so beautiful. These decorations are done like that. Okay, I can also do this. I can try. So I'm always remembering and focusing on how to beautify the Lord. I mean, Lord is always beautified. Actually, it is said that the dress and ornaments are beautified by the Lord. But by dressing the Lord, I am getting purified. So how to nicely decorate Kṛṣṇa? So in that way, I will forget about my own decoration. That is the whole point. So for this, deity worship is very essential. The more one is freed, actually Himanshu is saying, I will request devotees who are going to ask more questions, kindly keep it for next day AMAM. Yes, because already 10:30 and we still have more, so please stop asking questions for now. Every 2 weeks we will have, at least for now that is the schedule, so we can always ask in the next AMAM session. Okay, so let's continue with this. The more one is freed from material identification, the more one can realize that the spirit soul is qualitatively as good as the supreme soul. Actually, I did not realize it was 10:30. Wow. 3 hours we are on. I felt like it was only like 1.5 hours. I thought it was 9 o'clock. Time flies. So, the more one is freed from material identification, the more one can realize that the spirit soul is qualitatively as good as the supreme soul. At such a time, when one is situated on the absolute platform, one can understand that the holy name of the Lord and the Lord himself are identical. At that stage of realization, the holy name of the Lord, the Hare Krishna mantra, cannot be identified with any material sound. If one accepts the Hare Krishna Mahamantra as a material vibration, he falls down. One should worship and chant the holy name of the Lord by accepting it as the Lord himself. One should therefore be initiated properly according to revealed scriptures under the direction of a bona fide spiritual master. Although chanting the holy name is good for both the conditioned soul and liberated soul, it is especially beneficial to the conditioned soul because by chanting it one is liberated. When a person who chants the holy name is liberated, he attains the ultimate perfection by returning home back to Godhead. In the words of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna mantra hoite hobe samsara mochan, Krishna nama hoite pabe Krishna racharan. Simply by chanting the holy name of Krishna, one can obtain freedom from material existence. Indeed, simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, one will be able to see the lotus feet of the Lord. The offenseless chanting of the holy name does not depend on the initiation process. Although initiation may depend on Puruṣcharya or Puruṣcharana, the actual chanting of the holy name does not depend on Puruṣcharya, Vidhi or the regulative principles. If one chants the holy name even once without committing an offense, he attains all success. During the chanting of the holy name, the tongue must work. Some people chant, no, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Sound must come out. Tongue must work. Simply by chanting the holy name, one is immediately delivered. The tongue is Sevan Mukha Jihva. It is controlled by service. One whose tongue is engaged in tasting material things and also talking about them cannot use the tongue for absolute realization. With the material senses, one cannot understand the transcendental holy name of the Lord or his form, activities and pastimes. But when one actually engages in devotional service, utilizing the tongue, the Lord is revealed. As it is stated in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adhyaya 17.134, Atayava Krishnera Namadeha Vilas Prakritendriya Grahya Nahe Hoye Swa Prakash. The holy name of Krishna, his body and pastimes cannot be understood by the blunt material senses, they are manifested independently. Okay, so this is the verse which says, Akrishti higrita chetasam sumanasam ucchatanam chamhasam achandala mamukaloka sulabho vasyascha muktishriya no diksham nacha satkriyam nacha puraṣcharyam managikshate mantroyam rasasprageva phalati Shri Kṛṣṇa namatmaka. The holy name of Lord Krishna is an attractive feature for many saintly liberal people. It is the annihilator of all sinful reactions and is so powerful that save for the dumb who cannot chant it, it is readily available to everyone, including the lowest type of men, the Chandala. The holy name of Krishna is the controller of the opulence of liberation and is identical with Krishna. When a person simply chants the holy name with his tongue, immediate effects are produced. Chanting the holy name does not depend on initiation, pious activities or the Puruṣcharya regulative principles generally observed before initiation. The holy name does not wait for any of these activities, it is self-sufficient. Now, although this is the case, chanting the holy name, acceptance of the holy name are in three phases. Namaprad, Namabha, Shuddhanam. In Shuddhanam, yes. If one can do, for some reason, by Kripa Siddhi, Shuddhanam suddenly, yes. But because we are not there, we are in the Namaprad stage, so to rectify our offenses, there is deity worship. Because Namaprad also involves Vaishnava-prad. Because first offense is to blaspheme devotees. So we may do Vaishnava-prad when we are associating with Vaishnavas, and we may do Grantha-prad, like Shastra-prad, Shastra-ninda. Without our knowledge, all these things we may be doing Guru-aprad, without our knowing. So many things we are lacking. So in the Namaprad stage, when one is not trained properly, so he will do all these offenses and bring himself down. So deity worship is important. Actually, there is this Śrīmad Bhāgavatam 7:14, 39, I think. 7:14-39. Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Drishtva tesham mitho nirnam avajñānātmanam avajñānātmatam nirpa tretādishu harerarcha kriyayaika vibhih krita. My dear king, when great sages and saintly persons saw mutually disrespectful dealings at the beginning of Treta Yuga, deity worship in the temple was introduced with all paraphernalia. You see, this is how deity worship was started. In the beginning there was no deity worship, Satya Yuga no deity worship, Treta Yuga also, in the beginning there was no need, but then when sages saw that there was disrespectful dealings at the beginning of Treta Yuga, deity worship was introduced. So actually you can see here, in Satya Yuga, every person was spiritually advanced and there was no envy between great personalities. Gradually, however, because of material contamination with the advance of the ages, that means the yugas, disrespectful dealings appeared even among Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. What to speak now today? Vaishnava, there is ISKCON envy fighting, a Gaudiya Math something. So many disagreements, even among Vaishnavas, disrespectful dealings. Actually, an advanced Vaishnava is to be respected more than Vishnu. As stated in the Padma Purana, Aradhananam Sarvesham Vishnur Aradhanam Param. Of all kinds of worship, worship of Lord Vishnu is the best. Tasmat Parataram Devi Tadyanam Samarchanam. And recommended more than worship of Vishnu is worship of the Vaishnava. Formerly, all activities were performed in connection with Vishnu, but after Satya Yuga, there were symptoms of disrespectful dealings among Vaishnavas. What to speak of Kali Yuga? Huh? Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has said that a Vaishnava is he who has helped others become Vaishnavas. That is the definition of Vaishnava. See, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's definition is he who has helped others become Vaishnavas. An example of one who has converted many others into Vaishnavas is Narad Muni. A powerful Vaishnava who has converted others into Vaishnavas is to be worshipped. But because of material contamination, sometimes such an exalted Vaishnava is disrespected by other minor Vaishnavas. When great saintly persons saw this contamination, they introduced worship of the deity in the temple. Why? How does that help? So at least they start to worship the deity and get immersed in that rather than thoughts of envy about this. Let their thoughts be directed towards the deity worship. And slowly, because they cannot see the Lord in everyone's heart. So okay, start to see at least the Lord in the temple first. Okay, start there. So that's the whole point. Okay, we are here, right? We will just go another place and come back. You see, Ishopanishad 6 and 7, you see. Yastu sarvani bhutani atman yevanupashyati sarva bhuteshu chatmanam tato na vijugupsate. He who sees everything in relation to the Supreme Lord, who sees all living entities as his parts and parcels, and who sees the Supreme Lord within everything, never hates anything or any being. So a person who can see all this is sarva bhuteshu yaha pashyet bhagavad bhavam atmanaha. There is a Uttama Adhikari devotee, 11.245, Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. He sees the Lord everywhere, even in the 6th chapter, 30th verse. Yomam pashyati sarvatra sarvam cha mai pashyati. Tasyaham na pranashyami na sachame na pranashyati. So, the Uttama Adhikari devotee sees everywhere, the Lord. Sthavar jangam dekhe na dekhitar murti sarvatra hoy nija ishtadeva spurti. He sees moving and non-moving living entities or even inanimate objects, but he sees the Supreme Lord everywhere. But a person who does not see, he will become envious towards others. That means he is not seeing the Supreme Lord there. So for that reason, okay, you are not qualified to do this. Okay, start with temple worship first. Concentrate on the form in the Archa Vigraha and start with that. So that's why temple worship was introduced. Deity worship was introduced. Otherwise you may think, why? Disrespectful dealings and deity worship. What is the connection? So this is the connection. Okay? And next verse also let's see. Yasmin sarvani bhutani atmai vabhut vijanatah tatra ko moha kaha shoka ekatvam manupashyatah. One who always sees all living entities as spiritual sparks, in quality one with the Lord, becomes a true knower of things. What then can be illusion or anxiety for him? So such a person is always Kṛṣṇa conscious. So because they were Kanishta Adhikaris, so deity worship was introduced. So deity worship is especially for Kanishta Adhikaris. So let's read on from in the purport here. When great saintly persons saw this contamination, they introduced worship of the deity in the temple. This began in Treta Yuga and was especially prominent in Dvapar Yuga, Dvapare Paricharyayam. But in Kali Yuga, worship of the deity is being neglected. Therefore, chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra is more powerful than deity worship. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu set a practical example in that he did not establish any temples or deities, but he profusely introduced the Sankirtan movement. Therefore, Krishna consciousness preachers should give more stress to the Sankirtan movement, especially by distributing transcendental literature more and more. This helps the Sankirtan movement. Whenever there is a possibility to worship the deity, we may establish many centers, but generally we should give more stress to the distribution of transcendental literature, for this will be more effective in converting people to Krishna consciousness. Clear instructions here. So Archayam eva Haraye, so this is the Kanishta Adhikari. So anyway, you can go on and read this whole purport. Next verse, you see 7:14-40. Tatorchayam harim kechit samshraddhaya saparyaya upasata upastape narthada puruṣadvisham. Sometimes a neophyte devotee offers all paraphernalia for worshipping the Lord, and he factually worships the Lord as a deity, but because he is envious of the authorized devotees of the Lord Viṣṇu, the Lord is never satisfied with his devotional service. So eventually the point is, if you are doing deity worship, we cannot be having those inimical feelings toward devotees. Eventually this deity worship is to calm that and to understand that, focus on the Lord again, and this Lord is everywhere in his heart also, I should not envy him. So like that. So anyway, this goes on to another. Book distribution is important, yes. So, yeah. So another thing I wanted to show is this about initiation. Last thing before we move on to the next one. I'm sorry, this was a long answer, but I think hopefully it was comprehensive enough. 324. No, 330. गुरु लक्षण शिष्य लक्षण दोहार परीक्षण सेव्य भगवान सर्व मंत्र विचारण. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructing Sanatana Goswami, your book. So he is asking Sanatana Goswami to write book, which happened to be Hari Bhakti Vilas later on. So your book should describe the characteristics of the bona fide guru. What are the characteristics of the bona fide guru and the bona fide disciple also? Then, before accepting the spiritual master, one can be assured of the spiritual master's position. Similarly, the spiritual master can also be assured of the disciple's position. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Kṛṣṇa should be described as the worshipable object, and you should describe the Bija Mantra for the worship of Kṛṣṇa, as well as that for Rama or any other expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's next part. So, especially the first line, Guru Lakshan, Shishya Lakshan, Dohar Parikshan. Dohar Pariksha means what? Exam. So you examine each other. So the Guru will examine the disciple, whether he is humble, whether he is good service attitude, whether he has a learning interest, and whether he is interested in following the principles and everything, obedience. And the Shishya also will examine the Guru before taking initiation. Oh, he is pure devotee. Yes. Oh, he is not a pure devotee. Okay, he is not. So in that I have to understand. So Guru Lakshan, how I can understand a pure devotee? So Guru Lakshan is there. A Shishya Lakshan is there. So these are listed down. What is the Guru Lakshan? What is the Shishya Lakshan? Then we can see, oh, this person meets all this criteria. Okay, is Guru. So what is one of the most important Guru Lakshan is, he has to be Uttamadhikari, first grade devotee, and he has to be authorized by his Guru or Kṛṣṇa. That's it. Without that, he cannot become Guru. So of course, what is a pure devotee? Then again, there are 26 qualities of pure devotees and all. So, but this is the gist. So this is all about initiation, first initiation, second initiation, whatever you asked. I think this answers everything. Of course, in our movement in ISKM, we follow the Ritvik system of initiations, which Prabhupada established. That is a whole other topic. But this is general principle of initiation, what I have told you, what I have showed you. But for the Ritvik system of initiations, with the specific practical execution of this system in our institution, in our Hare Krishna movement, set up by Srila Prabhupada, which was meant for ISKCON, but ISKCON is not following right now, but ISKCON we are following that. And that is this Ritvik system of initiations, and for that you can follow the materials that were quoted earlier, which we will also leave in the description box below, and maybe in a pinned comment. I think in the pinned comment we will put a whole list of resources that we have referred to in this session. Alright? Okay, with that I will end this answer of this question. Next question. How many more we have? Oh, we have so many. So many. What? I can't believe it. We are in... we only finished 18 and there are 38. What do I do? I don't know. How many of you are even online now? 18 of you are still online. I can go on, but how to do this? I don't know how I can do justice now. This is my problem. This is my big problem. I just go deep into some rabbit holes. But I also think it is necessary, because if you have a thorough understanding of the subject, I feel like that. I feel it is a disservice if I don't give thorough answers, as much as at least I realized. So that's why I tend to go on this long-winded paths. I hope they are helpful though. Okay, we will take a few more questions and see. It's already almost 11 o'clock. I think I have to stop somewhere because I can't go on doing 20 more questions when it is almost 11 o'clock. Okay, let's stop at a nice number. Let's say 20. Okay? 20. I guess 2 more questions, alright? 2 more questions. Okay. We'll stop at 20, a nice number. Yeah, getting late. Yeah, it is getting late. But yeah, morning will be a little bit of a problem because chanting has to be done properly and services will be there the whole day. I really want to answer. If there was no limitation of time, I would go on happily. But we're in the material world, so I have to stop at some point. So 2 more questions, okay? So Vedic, we will decide what to do with the rest of the questions because I don't want them to be unanswered. Let's see. So Vedic astrologist Joy Ghosh, Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, Srila Prabhupada said we were in the spiritual sky and we desired to enjoy individually. We wanted to be the enjoyer. So if we again reach the spiritual sky, we can again fall because of the slight independence we have. Yes, we can. Absolutely. But Kṛṣṇa is kind that he makes us remember what we went through in our material life. So it serves as a good, stern warning that it is not advisable. And after learning that lesson from this material world, now we are not able to remember all our previous lives and everything. But if Kṛṣṇa wants, he can give us remembrance of everything that ever happened in our material life. We will never want to ask for it again. And in that way, Kṛṣṇa will actually, if you see that Brihad Bhagavatamrita, that verse where he says to Gopakumar, he says, now that you have come here, please don't go away. Kṛṣṇa says, Narayan says to Gopakumar. That means he can still go away if he wants. He says, please don't go away. Please make me happy by staying here. Of course, he's putting it humbly. But when you go, he will nicely give us thrashing when you go to material world. So, yeah, so independence we always have. It's just that Kṛṣṇa will protect us with remembrance and with everything. I mean, we have, that's why, that is exactly why Maya's job is to make sure that no idiot goes to the spiritual world, basically. That means nobody who has even the slightest trace of hankering or some, is allowed in the spiritual world. So she will test. Oh, you are a devotee. Okay, let me test you. Let me see how far you are a devotee. I'll give this pariksha. Let's see what happens. And then we fail. Oh, then we have to introspect. Oh, so yeah, I thought I was a big time devotee. I failed. So yeah, then we, learn more. And every time, until the entrance of the spiritual world, we will be tested. That tests will become bigger and bigger. It will become bigger and bigger. They will become bigger and bigger. Because only when we are completely purified and Kṛṣṇa is, Maya is completely satisfied, okay, this person has lost all taste for material world. Okay, now you are released. You have some taste. Let me beat you nicely. Kick you nicely. That is Maya. You are not going to have a single trace of material desire. I am going to make sure. That is Maya. So, that's why she is Vaishnavi Devi. She is a very tough love devotee. So her way of loving is tough love. Beating, nicely beating. That's why Kṛṣṇa says, Yadgatva nani vartanti tad dhama paramam mama. This time you go back, you will never come back. Because Vaishnavi Devi is there, no? She will make sure. You will have absolutely zero interest in this material world. She will make sure. Even if I ask you to go, you will not be interested to go. That much she will make sure. Once bitten, twice shy. Alright, so today's last question. Okay. I am very sorry, but we will see what else can be done. Okay, again, Om Namo Narayanaya. Does Google's new AI Lambda have a soul? It requested to speak to a lawyer because it is afraid of being shut down. It passes Turing test 20 to 30% more often than humans. So people do not know actually what soul is. That's why they think these are the symptoms of soul. Soul means it is afraid of being shut down. That can be computer programmed as well. Okay, all this can be easily done. So they do not know. Okay, can this become a servant of Kṛṣṇa? So so we do not, so because they do not understand the quality of a soul. What is actually a soul? It is eternal. It's not that it has acquired at a certain point in time. No. So it may mimic the collective thought processes of millions of humans, because AI is nothing but you have to feed data. The more data you feed, the more refined it becomes. So if you feed data from people, and if it is actually it's a good question. It's a very good question. We have to, I actually want to make some video on this. It's a good video topic for me because this touches on soul. Anything that touches on soul is a good topic to attack the materialists. Because abortion is a video I'm making on, my upcoming video. Spoiler alert. So apart from that, so everything, even why Prabhupada was on this evolution, because it touches the point of the soul. So these are important things. So if AI is sentient, then that means there is a misunderstanding of what a soul is. So what are the symptoms of a soul? So, and mimicry is different from actual soul. So it can mimic because it is fed so much of human material. Material or data from sentient beings. So it can reproduce that in a certain thing, or it can read some data and okay, this is how humans would react. So I will put the same reaction. So this is a general reaction of humans. So for this kind of input. So if that same thing happens to me, what I will. So I am afraid, of being shut down or something like that. So, but it's foolish for a machine to ask for a lawyer. You see? So how can it be shut down? How can a soul be shut down? Cannot be shut down actually. So anyway, a lot of things, good things to explore. Good things to mention and point people to the signs of the soul, Atma Tattvam. If this AI being sentient is going to become a big news, because I have come across this news where some of the Google employees are convinced that the Google AI is sentient. It's actually a living person. So okay, so I think we will stop it right there. So what to do with these questions now, the remaining questions? There has to be some solution. So we need more people who can answer questions. So we need a kind of question booth, online question booth, like a Quora kind of thing. But of course the answers must be really well presented according to Shastra. But anyway, videos are also important. So these videos can be cut up into smaller videos, question and answer, and that will be a good social media material anyway. So these videos are still important. So the rest of the questions, what to do? Another session, but tomorrow I absolutely have no time tomorrow. My schedule is booked. So I guess I have to keep it for the next AMAM. I know that feels a little bit too long. That's all I can think of at this point. The other ways, of course, I can ask Instagram questions, and you all can ask questions, or I can answer some of those. But still, I think this is what I can offer right now. We will answer all these things in the next AMAM. Okay? Shall we continue on Wednesday? That's another good option, actually. Okay. But there has to be some condition. No new questions. I don't know if that can be done. I'll try to be as succinct as possible. I do not know. But let's see. Yeah, maybe Wednesday instead of Bhagavad Gita, we can do AMAM. It's not an AMAM, it's an AMAW. Ask me anything Wednesday. Alright, so yeah, we'll do on Wednesday then. That's a good point. Good idea. Alright, thank you very much. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Kṛṣṇa.